No.
Okay.
Yeah,
I do get your point to the overlay on people when you're in one, Holly. I understand that. Not
What
saying
did you say?
clearly.
My overlay, what do you mean by that?
Do
Defining people?
you see them, they become something other than what they are, yeah? I would describe that more as an overlay. If you see them differently later, when you're out of it.
I'm not claiming that I see them differently. Oh, because you asked me when is the flashback over? You asked me
When does someone ever not come back from that
be a demon.
being a demon? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't think people are demons, so I suppose I don't accept that premise of Deef's argument. I don't think people are demons. So turn into demon, I would say maybe demon used of a demon.
Okay,
if
turn into
demons.
what?
Used of a demon.
I think we're
close enough.
Off in the
okay.
We're in the definition of what's the Clinton
We're
one?
playing the Define game. John has sort of insinuated I'm the master at Define game. Apparently, I'm not doing that well. Oh, but that was a question. It wasn't really a confident stance from John. So that's evidence he's good at the Define game.
Do you not think anyone is a demon?
Who?
You.
Are you asking me? I don't think people are demons. I don't.
You don't think
people
anyone
are demons.
is?
No, I don't. I think demons are, may use people, but I don't think a person is a demon.
Oh, you believe in God and stuff. Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you believe that demons can possess people, Holly?
I guess so. I've never seen it. I don't know. I don't know if I believe that.
So
people
like can be used by demons.
An exorcism.
Yeah. Demons can't possess people, or people can't be possessed by a demon, or a defense, or a flashback.
Yeah, I don't know that that's biblical. Or maybe that is biblical. So
yeah,
but
I think it's biblical.
I don't know that I
just into pigs.
Know that I bought that yet.
What do you mean by and stuff, Mouse?
Show your face, coward. I'm just kidding. I didn't hear what you said. What did you say?
Unstuck? Is that what you said, John? Oh, come back, John.
I scared him away. I didn't mean nothing by it. I don't remember saying anything about unstuck.
Yeah, I didn't hear you say anything about that.
Somehow we've gotten away from trying to get the subjective inner experience of Holly's flashbacks. Was that an earlier question I was trying to
Why do you need to know? Why do you need to know, Dee?
Because we want to compare notes.
Yeah.
Or at least I want to compare notes. I'm interested.
Well, sorry, I'm not in one right now, so I can't describe it to you.
But weren't we demons earlier?
Right.
I never said you were demons.
You did say something like that. Do we have to look up the transcript, or?
You used the word demon, and I already said that people. I don't follow that.
I asked if I was one.
That.
Yeah, Kelly said.
Oh yeah, because I. Yeah,
and you agree.
And Ellie and I both were.
Demon.
So.
Yeah, you are the two people.
Even if maybe
running
that's
away
too low.
from. Yes, I keep running away from the two of you. You want to. I acknowledge I keep running away from the two of you.
Maybe that's too charged a word. Maybe that's the wrong word. There's something there, though.
Yes, I run. So.
So.
Or I play peekaboo, as Steve said. Peekaboo.
I'm trying to mentalize your subjective experience, and I think your subjective experience.
Because you guys keep accusing me. You keep accusing me of hiding. And so when I don't answer your questions, you say, "Oh, you're hiding, Holly." I'm not hiding. I'm not in an emotional flashback. So I cannot describe physiologically. From my memory, it feels like, what does it feel when adrenaline drops into your body? It's your heart races, your you feel flush. You may feel an expansion in your chest that feels like, I don't know, more constricted. I don't know. I'm trying to remember how to describe it. It's an all over body feeling.
Do you
Fear,
get angry?
terror. What does terror feel like? Have you
Have
ever
you-
had terror? Deep? That's what my emotional flashbacks feel like. Terror.
Holly.
Mhm.
Holly, have you seen a toddler, or like a toddler who's like afraid
Yeah.
that their parents
Yes.
are abandoning them?
Yeah, I can imagine that. And I look at photographs of me as a child and I look like I have that terror on my face.
That's
And
what
yes, I was abandoned. I was abandoned on several occasions.
as like a toddler?
And I have a I don't know if it's a dream or a real memory. I think my parents left me at a circus, or I have a dream of being left at a circus, but it could be an emotional abandonment that I turned into a dream. So I don't know. But later on, after the age of 4, 5, 6, 7, yes, 8, my mother, abandoned me in various places that were public that I was able to, or I was with my twin. So we,
Oh, like physically you're
yeah. But I was abandoned. I was like not taken home from school. So I had to find my way home from school when I was 5 years old by myself. So yeah, I have abandonment terror, probably.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Of course you do.
Mm-hmm.
Poor baby.
So when someone's attacking my character in a group, I'm afraid of abandonment. That's probably what comes up for me.
Of course you are. Yeah, that makes sense.
And Ellie likes to attack my character.
Yeah, well, fuck her. She doesn't know what she's talking about.
Yeah, I figured that out.
She just does that on purpose. Doesn't matter.
Well, I think she's in her own flashback. I think she demonized me because she took my posting as an attack on Deef in some way. And so she had to attack me.
Well, she's listening
And
to
she
the
confirmed that. And she confirmed that when she said, "You're distracting from his message."
She slips into those
And Deef
really
is buying
quickly.
it. And
I'm
Deef is
trying to
going down
get the
that rabbit
leap
hole.
from attacks on character to feeling abandoned.
Yes,
Oh,
You
that's
don't
a
have
big
to
leap.
get it. You don't have to get it.
Oh no,
Kelly.
no, that's not a leap.
We're trying to
have to
get
get
it.
it, Kelly.
Yes, we don't have
You
to
don't have
get
to
it.
get it.
That's what we're
Why don't you just believe
mentalizing.
me?
That is the definition
No.
of mentalizing.
Maybe you can't mentalize it because you don't experience it.
This is
No,
work.
he does.
This is
He does.
not
Everyone
black and
does.
white. This is
In
a
a
muscle.
family
Social
environment.
rejection can lead to abandonment. Social rejection leads to abandonment. Think about like tribal. We're a tribal species. We're supposed to be in groups of about like 50 to 100. And if you're socially rejected or your character is slandered and you're ostracized, that's
That's life-threatening. That could
Thank you.
feel
Yeah,
life-threatening,
the word I was looking for. Thank you.
especially for youth.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
if your parents,
chil-
this is why.
and
This
children.
So
is
how do
why,
you counter that?
this is why you
You can't counter it.
internalize
You
the-
survive
You
it,
can't.
Kelly. You
This is
survive
why
it.
you internalize the bad object as a child instead of perceiving your
Oh my.
abusive parents as being bad. Because if they're bad, then your life is threatened. But anyway, this is all very one thing leads directly to another. It's not a leap.
Sounds like potentially dysregulation or a flashback when things are linked together and there's no more taking in of shared reality.
Yeah, the abandonment terror is annihilation terror.
Now, Holly's abandonment led to actual abandonment. How was the return? Because I'm assuming, Holly, after you were abandoned, did you find your family again? Did you reconnect? Because
Sorry, are you talking to me? Apologies, I was writing.
so you had abandonment experiences, real abandonment experiences in your childhood, multiple times.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What was the reconnection like when you found them
You mean the
again?
reunification? You mean
Yes.
the reunification?
Mhm. I think that
okay,
could
so,
be just as important,
yeah.
or maybe more important.
So when I came home from school, my family, my sisters and my mother were all watching Dark Shadows on my mother's bed. And
Oh my
nobody
God.
really cared about anything or noticed
Oh my
anything.
God.
No one mentioned anything. So
Yeah.
there was an absence of welcoming you. So them leaving you is sort of like family secret because they don't even notice. So that
Yeah,
I would say
denied-
that the
they denied.
abandonment was bad, but I'd say that the reunification created the
Was another trauma.
yes, the
was another
reunification is harder to grieve. It's easy to grieve
Yes.
and fear the abandonment, but it's the fucked up repair that makes it
Yeah.
destabilizing.
Yes, I was just.
Mhm.
Yeah. Thank
Not
you,
even acknowledging.
Mouse. I appreciate watching your facial expression. It
You
validates
received-
me.
You received the message, my existence is insignificant, inconsequential, could
Yes.
go unnoticed. Oh my God.
Yes.
That's
Yes,
harder to
yes.
stay with.
That was while your brain, that was while your neural networks were forming. That
Mhm.
was while your brain was developing. You internalized that for life.
Yeah.
So yeah, you would
That's
be it would be like deeply, fundamentally threatening. People ostracize you or discount you. Horrible. That's
Yeah.
fucked up. That's fucked up for life.
Yeah, so I
Fucked
don't
up
know
for
if
life.
this is a
I'm so
dream
sorry.
or what, but in the dream or the reality of being left at a circus, there was a circus that happened at the arena in Long Island where we lived around the corner. And my dream is, or my memory is, that I fell through the bleachers and was knocked unconscious. I woke up. I saw the stands that the elephants stand on, those little things, those, podiums that they get up on and do their tricks. And there was poop around, and my father, and I made my way out to the fence because everything was fenced in, and my father came and got me from over the fence, which would mean that my parents took that to their grave, that really happened. And that they would have maybe realized that I wasn't there and came and found me and never told anybody, never spoke a word about it. I don't know if it was a dream or reality. I don't know. It could be a dream of my feeling that abandoned by my family, in this way, chronically, and maybe wanting maybe a wish fulfillment that my father could rescue me from this feeling of abandonment.
Childhood memories are not reliable.
Yeah. But yeah, so there was that one. And then when I was 8 or 9 or 7 or 8, she left us at a community pool where my twin sister and I got dunked in the water. And so we left the pool and had to wait for her to come and pick us up across the street. So, but I was with my twin then. And then she left me at the dentist's office, and the secretary had to take me home because my mother wasn't home to answer the phone. So she had to drive me home. She didn't know where I lived, and she got lost because we lived in a neighborhood that was windy streets. And she was lost, and I panicked when she felt lost because I was like, I don't know where I am. I think you turn this way. She got me home though.
Where the fuck was your mother?
Who the fuck knows? I don't know. We'd come home from school. She wouldn't be home. We'd be locked out.
What is she like?
So we-
alcoholic or?
I have no idea. I don't know. She had 6 kids. We were the babies.
Didn't give you
I
a
don't
key
know.
or anything?
She didn't give us a key, so we
Ooh,
had
that's
to.
mean.
We decided to unlock our windows and climb the trellis up to the roof to get into the house after school. And eventually we got a key. And of course, my dad was at work, so what the fuck did he know?
So she was just a thick trash person who didn't have it in her to have basic responsibilities or love or
Keep putting her down. Keep putting her down, Mouse. Go on. Keep putting her down.
yeah, no,
Well,
that's it. I mean, if
she
you're
was over. Yeah, I mean, I had to, I have worked through a lot of this, of my mother's neglect. She was very neglectful. She neglected me in other ways. And,
I say
Yeah.
a lot, I say a lot, like, sorry, Holly, please continue.
Go ahead. You can go, Mouse. You're having
Oh.
feelings or thoughts
I say a lot.
that are triggering John. No mother is
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah.
No,
But
I
yes,
say-
she was
no,
in
I say,
particular neglectful in ways that were harmful to us. Yes. She neglected brushing my hair for I don't know how long, but it was long enough for me to develop a huge knot in my hair.
well,
Yeah,
she wasn't a good enough mother.
Thank you. I battle with that. And then I
And
had
your
my
siblings weren't
sister.
helpful either.
Well, they did what they could as older siblings, but we were pretty close in age. And the eldest, I think, was on the realm of psychopathy.
Well, no,
She was
I say a
violent
lot
towards us.
You can't give what you ain't got. And I don't know who I'm quoting, but John, it's not about me like slandering her or giving like insults, but like, all right, she didn't have it to give. She didn't have the basic requisite care and responsibility to have a child or do like.
So if you were curious, you just go, where was your mum? You don't go, where was your fucking mum?
No, I said where the fuck was she? Or did you say that, Mouse? I don't know. So maybe
Well,
Mouse has
I
her
did,
own
yeah.
abandonment wounds.
Right, her mom let her down. Her mom failed.
Mm,
I mean, she had
The-
6 of us.
the abandonment
Yeah.
terror, the abandonment thing is easy to get angry at, but the invisibilization wound of the reunification actually hurts more.
Hmm. Yeah, the entire family didn't notice I was missing, I
Yes,
suppose.
the family didn't care, the
Mhm.
family didn't react, the family acted like nothing happened. That, I would argue, is a harder thing to heal from, and it's a harder thing to stay with. Because being angry is empowering, while feeling invisible in the voice feels bad. It feels more soul murderous to feel like you don't exist.
Accusations. I think accusations feel the worst, and that's I don't know.
Accusations
that's what
might feel
triggers me.
like the lack of reunion. Accusations feel like being divorced. The defined game is being undefined. That feels like you're being divorced. That's soul murder. You're not being seen. You're being erased. That's painful. Especially if you have unresolved grief around being invisibilized, unwelcomed. Your absence isn't noticed. That family secret pain.
Mhm.
That's hard to mourn because no one acknowledges you. That's the fourth. The drama triangle has a missing fourth, the non-responsive bystander. So
Mhm.
the whole family not responding when you come back, that's sometimes more painful than the 3.
Yep.
So if we're accusing you or having a different opinion is bringing up the unresolved grief of not being welcomed, of having people act like nothing happened when you come back. Having people say, dismissing your story with it going, you forgot me.
Yeah, they're just rewriting my story for me.
Yes. So anybody who rewrites your opinion triggers that old memory.
Yeah. Terror.
But we're not trying to trigger that old memory. We're just trying to have a different opinion. So the
I don't
meaning,
think Ellie was having a different opinion. I think Ellie was making an assessment of me.
based in her head, yes, and maybe throwing it at
Right,
you.
based in her
she's
head.
In a separate
Based
body.
in her demonizing me. Based in her
Maybe,
demonizing
sure.
me.
And see now, by you getting angry at her, that feels way better than feeling divorced.
Yeah.
See?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hatred and rage feels better than feeling isolated, alone, and divorced.
Mm-hmm. Well, when you get hounded, after that, she fucking hounded me in the Discord. Of course I'm gonna run away. It's like, get the fuck off me, bitch.
Now, at the same time, if she's hounding you, isn't that the opposite of being abandoned?
That's being bullied. I've
No,
experienced that too.
let's just forget the story. Just like your core wound is you got abandoned and
flip
forgotten.
it. You can ignore me, or you can hound me. Both suck.
Yes,
I don't
that's
want
the two
either
sides
one.
of the split. I'm trying to combine the split. Because that's reality. If you don't, if you can't hold the middle, you're just going to go.
It started with the invisibilizing me, and then it turned into the, okay, I won't invisibilize you. I will, I don't know, poke you until you fight back.
I won't invisibilize you. Who's doing the I won't?
Both are instrumentalizing me. She's instrumentalizing me in both cases. One to make herself feel better, and the other to make herself feel.
So Holly, do you feel instrumentalized? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I felt instrumentalized. Yes.
Okay. So let me take a moment. Holly felt instrumentalized. Is there a shorter word than instrumentalized, or is there a simile?
Used.
Holly felt used. What else? Don't we all use each other? So this is a different type of used. So do you have another word? Or more words to try to capture the essence of the wound that got opened up? Because it might happen to be a feeling of shame. Humiliated. I knew. I was trying to guide you towards shame. Humiliated. Abused? I don't know if that adds that much more.
Yeah, ultimately that's... Yeah, define that. But okay, yeah, we don't have to add that.
So instrumentalized, used, humiliated. Is that how you felt when you came back from being abandoned? Or is it more what you felt when you were abandoned?
I just felt terror.
Yes, so when you got abandoned, you felt terror, but when you came back and no one noticed and people ignored you more.
No, I don't think I could feel that. I don't think I could understand those definitions even. Used, humiliated.
Aha, so what would your young 5-year-old self feel?
What I would do is assign something to myself, probably.
Would you instrumentalize yourself? Would you blame yourself or define yourself?
I probably blamed myself, or took something on as an identity.
So you would get into this act of self-blame to sort of recongeal to the family, because if they're not,
I don't know what happened. I don't remember what happened in the instance. I don't remember. And if anything, I don't remember. I don't even remember feeling those things. If there's a connection right back to that, from the experience in the Discord. I don't. You know, you're
this
the one
stuff
who pulled
happened
it
when
out
you
of
were
me.
young.
Mhm.
This happened when you were very primitive in your language, so it's going to be hard to remember the specifics. Yeah.
Yeah. I probably felt very grateful just to be home. Do you think I even thought about their opinion
You
of
might
me
have
after
focused
that?
on
I
that.
doubt it.
You might have tried to forget the
I
abandonment.
think I went into abuse amnesia.
There, so
Abuse
abuse
amnesia.
amnesia.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
if you went into
Let's go on. Who's ready to
abuse
play?
amnesia,
Mhm.
there's
You're
probably
still-
mixed emotions.
You're still developing a self-concept, and that's even if you're not like drawing any foundational conclusions right in that moment, you're still that's being integrated in your worldview
Yes.
and theory of mind for others and self-concept.
Yeah, and I suppose they come out when people accuse and attack me and hound me.
Well, when people
don't let me
accuse
go.
and attack you, potentially it's triggering some old memories. So if we could give space to those old memories and try to integrate them, then maybe when other people hound you in the future, it won't be so triggering. Would that be something potentially useful?
Well, I think I figured out pretty quickly I was just being hounded, and so I just left the conversation. So I felt pretty satisfied with how I dealt with it. I don't think Ellie was happy with it, but I was. Maybe she felt invisibilized, but she earned it.
She earned it, why?
Because she assumed that I was trying to distract from your message when what I was looking for clarification. She did not want to accept what I told her, and I wasn't going to try to convince her.
So
She
she
can think
deserves
what
to feel bad.
What she wants of me.
She
She
deserves
can
to be
think
punished.
of me. I
She
decided
deserves
that
to
she could,
lose.
no,
'Cause she
I
has
decided
a-
that
She had a premise
she didn't-
that she threw out
she
there.
didn't want to change her message
Yes,
about me in her head, so I decided to let her have it.
Yes.
I cannot control what's in her head, so I let her have it. I let her keep it.
Do you think this is a very adaptive adult social strategy to have with adult other people?
I walk away from people who don't hear me. I walk away from them. I'm satisfied with it. If they don't like it, maybe they need to change, not me.
Yes. Do you think this would work in the workplace?
I made it fine through the workplace.
I know,
I
but
made it
now we're
fine.
speculating, not in the past. We're saying speculating if you take this attitude with coworkers.
I think that's exactly the attitude to take with coworkers or anyone. Like if someone is cemented in their belief and unwavering, yeah, letting them have it. That makes sense.
Well,
Yeah, I mean,
if
what do you
Holly
think?
is very
There's a-
cemented in her view, why can't people let Holly have it?
yeah, they could do that.
I mean,
Holly seems to be very cemented. Is Holly not cemented in her view? Does Holly not have cemented views about us in the group? How many people have
She
been on the
is,
receiving
and
end of Holly's cemented hard-ass views?
Well, you don't know.
She
You don't know
is,
what's going
and I
on in my
agree with
head,
her.
Dee. I don't necessarily
I think she's
stay
right.
there,
You're
but I keep
saying
coming
you're
around
allowed
to
to
it.
punish people
I
because
can-
they have cemented views. Why can't we give it back to you?
She's not punishing, she's dismissing. She's allowing
I
them
already
to have
told
it. She's
you
walking
She
away.
that she had a
celebrated.
cemented
You
view.
want us to play back the video of what she said? She didn't say it was just dismissing.
What?
Mouse is trying to rewrite history, or unless my memory is gaslit. Holly seemed to be taking joy
I already said.
that Ellie felt that.
I said-
That is not dismissing.
I think, Dee, I already said that you could have your cemented view of me. Didn't I say that? I think you're
No,
the
we're
one who
trying to
doesn't
talk
want to
about
accept mine.
your interaction with Ellie.
Yeah, your Ellie earned it.
Well, why
Yeah,
don't-
Ellie
why
earned
don't
it.
you let Ellie speak for herself?
Why do we need to? We're trying to take your story, Holly. Why are we jumping to Ellie now?
I gave you my story. I'm done. You're now trying to
She
heal
said
Ellie's
Ellie
wound.
earned
So
it.
let Ellie talk for
See,
herself.
she said Ellie earned it. That's
She
dismissing.
said Ellie earned it, but she also said she's not going to try to reason with Ellie if Ellie is cemented in her point of view.
I said I'm not going to try to change her mind. I already tried to.
Yeah.
How many times do I have to try? Really, I don't want to, I'm not going to chase her down.
This is the real world. So do you not consider that shared reality is kind of hard to navigate? So we have to sort of work together to try to figure it out. We can't just say it's one or the other. That would be like splitting.
Stop talking for Deef. Deef, stop talking for Ellie, please. You're not one person. Let Ellie speak for herself here.
That's not the topic. The topic is this sort of social strategy you have.
You said, are we allowed to have our hard-nosed opinions of Holly? Holly's not letting us have it. I just said, I let her have it. So what you say isn't true.
What I say isn't true? Okay, so let's slow down. You want to slow down?
Yes.
Because I don't feel heard. I didn't make that argument. I think there's a redefinition. Is there room for me to correct?
You can play it back.
Your redefinition.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes,
now,
please correct me.
Let's see. Does anybody else in the room heard what I was arguing and wants to jump in? Because if I argue, it feels a bit biased.
You can speak for yourself, Dave.
Or we could go back to the video, but that's too easy, and that's also
I think we're trying to
somewhere.
Yeah, we're trying to point out.
I think we've established that we both have these hard-line opinions of each other, and I think that we have both accepted. I think I've accepted that you have one of me, but I don't think that you can accept that I have one of you.
I can't accept that you have
and I'm not saying
a demon
that it's set
view
in
of
stone.
me. That's sort of where we started.
I already told you people are demons.
Well, there's Kelly saying the demon tribe, and you said Deef and Kelly were part of the dangerous tribe. So I thought I accepted that.
No, I said Kelly and Ellie.
Okay, Kelly and Ellie were part of that tribe.
No, I didn't say Deef. I said Kelly and Ellie. Yeah, I didn't put you in there.
So back to trying to define
that
the
I think he wants
argument.
to know if it could change, and I'm open to it changing. Yes, I'm open to it changing, but for now, this is what it is.
I was more going for does it ever.
There.
I was going more for experience all the way back to.
I don't usually have these. I don't usually.
Emotional
this is a new.
Redefinitions.
It's a new paradigm for me that I am operating in. So it's like it's a. I'm new.
This is a muscle she's trying to build. Yes, this is not easy.
Mm-hmm.
I like your trying for me.
Holly went back to reunification and no one talked. She had to pretend like nothing happened. So we're trying to concentrate this experience of trying to rupture repair after a conflict and just talk it out and realize that people can be reasonable. People can try to talk things out, learn from it, instead of just forgetting it and pretending it didn't happen. Could that be adaptive?
You're asking me?
You and anybody, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Less lonely.
Yes, it's addressing the loneliness. It's addressing the self-exile. Because if something happens to you, I was re-listening to October 2021, Julianne, the journalist, and she was talking after she had some sort of sexual rape coworker thing, and she was sharing her story of looping her head, of blaming herself, because it was a coworker and someone that was in the same field that she didn't want to leave. So she was in this self-exile and blaming and trying to be perfection. How do I make sure it didn't happen? Blah, blah. Was I really right? Because she had to deal with the legal system and the police system. And so she had a lot of that, abuse amnesia the personal self-doubt, because the world wasn't reflecting what she viscerally felt. And the easy thing is you get a bunch of people that just validate the abuse, get angry at the person, but now you've given all your power to the abuser. Your future story is now written by the abuser, and your future story is trying to avoid any future abuser. Is that agency? Is there room to have both? You can still be angry at the abuser, you can still be defensive, but can you make space for your own life to continue afterwards?
Something to mess around with anyway. Give it a shot.
Oh. So here's a clip of Nahama sharing her story that related to the journalist.
If you did or said the wrong thing, then it would be your fault, the actions of the other person. The other person's actions would become your fault if you did or said the wrong thing. So now you have to police your words, thoughts, and actions, which is exhausting.
It's a bit dense of a sentence, but that's sort of... You get abandoned, or Holly gets abandoned as a kid. She's angry, and she feels it's unfair. She finally gets back home, and no one acknowledges it. And maybe the first time she tried to talk it out, they dismissed it, they erased it, they came up with an excuse. So her pain was unwitnessed. Not only was it unwitnessed, it was... Holly?
You made two assumptions there. Which are not true. One, that I was angry, and two, that I was...
Okay, you were terrified when you were abandoned. Yes, after you came back. Okay,
yeah.
so.
And I can't, the abuse for me goes way further back than this. It's complex abuse, a complex neglect.
Yes.
Abuse in the form of neglect. So there was no need for me to feel angry. Or what was the other thing you said?
Well, right there. There's no need for me to feel angry.
Oh, and it wasn't fair.
That's right there. There's no need for me to feel angry.
Story.
Look at you right there.
Unfair.
You're dismissing your feeling.
Exactly.
You're still doing it now. You're dismissing the inner child's feelings back then.
No. I'm telling you that in that moment, I don't have any memory of being angry at all. And what I'm telling you is that I learned to not be angry long before that 5-year-old experience. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
What difference does this make?
Because you're making assumptions, but that's okay. You can use
What difference does this make for the example? I don't have your whole life history. I have to use the story you shared with me. If it happened before, sure, I can agree with that. But I don't know the pre-neglect stories of yours.
I never said that in my story, that I was angry, so it triggered me, and I had to correct you.
And you're correcting me because I'm trying to... Yeah. I see this as a link to your abuse amnesia. Then John's going to just try to be in his flashback and just throw nonsense, shout over the victim. I'm giving the victim a chance to talk. Her family had neglect. When she talked, she was invisibilized. So, John, you want to take over? You like critiquing from the sidelines?
Don't get upset, dear.
You expert?
Go ahead, finish your story.
No, I'm fighting for your damn baby. I'm fighting for your fucking neglect, Holly.
I know that. Yeah, well, there was nobody to fight for.
You're arguing with me. You need to yell at your fucking parents, listen, your siblings. You're yelling at me with all this, Deef got it wrong. Your parents got it wrong, didn't they?
So you're saying I have anger. Okay, I hear you. I have anger.
You're just redirecting it to me, and that's fine. But I'm also trying to link it to your original abuse.
You're not supposed to react, but okay.
See, you're not supposed to react. More evidence of abuse amnesia.
Holy
This is toxic shame. You've
Why-
given up your
why-
voice and you judge yourself whenever your voice comes out a little. And the voice comes out sideways, and all the other people that take it like, oh, this doesn't feel fair because your abuse is being redirected.
Wait, why is he not supposed to react, Holly?
Because he's supposed to be a container for me.
Why?
Oh, because that's what he said that he is. That's what he said that he is, and it does for people.
Oh.
But he's
Oh.
reacting, so it's okay.
He always reacts.
See, I'm consistent. What is...
Am I dumping my anger on you? Is that what I did?
You don't seem angry.
I'm not.
You seemed a little bit agitated because I got some detail wrong because I didn't know your whole life history.
Yeah, it seems
Yeah,
like
because I wanted to put in what was fact for me so that I could understand where you're going with it, because it didn't match with what I experienced. Holly felt angry. I'm like, no, I didn't feel angry. So how do I follow your model that you're setting up for me if that's not what my experience was?
How do you follow the model?
Here's me interjecting again so that I can follow you, and then it triggers you, and then it's a mess.
It triggers you and it's a mess. So I wonder if this is maybe what one of your siblings or your parents would reflect back to you whenever you tried to share your pain as a child.
Oh, what would they reflect back? What are you saying they would reflect?
They would say, I can't follow you, you're a mess, blah, blah. You need to try harder at explaining yourself.
Oh yeah, they would probably well, I got ignored there as well. It's like the response was, you have to take care of everyone else. This is your cross to bear, so take care of everyone else, not yourself.
So could you
don't
have
matter.
interjected
Another you don't matter message.
their neglect and their adulting of you, and now that interject is projecting it onto Deef?
Yes, I insisted that you be my adult.
Yep. So you were parentified by your parents and siblings with this certain
Yes, so I
flavor.
parentified
Now
you.
you're parentifying me.
Yes.
And this is the pattern. This is repetition compulsion. This is a projective identification that never gets resolved. But you still have the feelings, and you might be talking more calm, but me trying to act out the feeling is trying to give space to those feelings that have been hot potatoed. So your parents and caregivers hot potatoed it to you. Now you're hot potatoing it to me. And then, bam, you throw a double bind and said, you can't overreact. Why are you overreacting? Blah, blah, blah. Is anyone able to follow this very complicated
Yeah, I want to
dynamic?
overreact right now.
I heard you.
Jesus.
No one cares enough to try
Go
to
ahead,
navigate
Kelly.
this for you. I'm trying to help make sense of it for me and make sense of it for the people. But therapists aren't going to do this. No one's like spending this time to get into your fucking mess, because no one cares about other people's trauma. That's almost by
Well,
definition.
I want the mess you're looking at to be accurate in your mind. But then you said, well, no, you said to me, what does it matter? What does it matter if it's correct in my mind? As if to say, you don't matter, Holly. What you're saying
Right
doesn't matter.
there.
And
You're
I know,
hearing
and I
me
know where I'm
as
going.
saying you don't matter, Holly. I didn't mean that, but you're
Yeah.
hearing it
I
that
think
way.
that Holly is triggered by Deef's caring and like that paternal role that like he assumes by caring, and I think she's triggered by that, and she's like poking holes in, well, you're not doing it right.
Good enough.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
good
you're
enough. It's sort of shaming.
yeah, because I mean it's threatening if suddenly you're
It
like
is,
assuming
yeah.
that role, like you're gonna let her down.
Yes.
You're gonna let her down, and
Well,
it's gonna hurt her.
Again.
I think you jumped past what I have accepted, and I haven't accepted that I was angry. You may be there, Deep. You may be able to see that I was angry, but I'm not able to see that. So, so if that was a sabotage on you, that wasn't my intention. It was just I'm not where you see me, or I'm not even seeing what you saw in my childhood. So now I'm going to be following you in a hypothetical, not in a, yes, this happened to me thing. That's all.
A hypothetical, I think, is within ISTDP would be called intellectualization, or hypothesis, or shared fantasy,
so I'll
shared
have
imagination.
to hypothesize that I was, so I'd have to hypothesize with you that I was angry.
So I think this is
but I
what
guess
happens
I
as
was
adults.
Angry because that's my response. Mm-hmm.
That as adults, we share a hypothetical together, and we both jump into the hypothetical.
Okay, yes, we can do that.
When we talk as adults, we don't assume the shared hypothetical is the direct lived experience of either party. I think that's an implicit assumption for adults.
I think you assumed I understood that, but that wasn't.
This is a good clarification. This might be why you get so upset when other people have opinions, because you think that their opinion is a direct comment on your direct experience. And I don't assume that when I talk to other people.
Yeah, I mean, I assume their opinion. I assume when they're telling me their opinion of me, they're telling me what they see and what they think, which I may or may not agree with.
Do you see Chantal's struggle with digesting that, Holly?
Well, it's simple that, I'm not objective enough. You guys can be objective of me. So I can buy that if that's what went through Chantal's mind. No, I'm not objective of myself. Is anyone?
We're not. I'm trying to describe the unspoken rules of communication. I'm not trying to. I don't think I'm trying to judge you as bad, but it seems like you're hearing it that way. I'm a bit surprised by some of what I'm hearing, so the surprise is escalating some reactions, but it's not to try to impose something on you, Holly.
Okay.
Maybe to offer an opinion, but an invitation to expand your communication skill set, but it's not to say that's wrong and abandon you.
Okay.
Because if you had parents who didn't build this shared relational frame of hypothesis about future dangers, you just might not know how to do that.
Oh, I was on my own.
Yeah. So
they didn't give me hypotheses. I faced all the dangers.
If I somehow learned it, I don't know if my parents taught me, but I think I somehow learned it, and I think a lot of other people here somehow picked it up. We're going to assume that you at least have some of it. So it's a bit of a surprise that sharing a hypothetical frame of the future or the past is difficult or totally foreign for you.
Well, no, I can do that.
Well,
what do you think reading all these psychology books was about? Or self-help?
Well, that's reading. That's not in real time. Mentalizing has to happen in a group, not where it's too sanitized and safe. It has to happen under stress. That's where it's useful. Then you can talk out something really stressful and have somebody else help you contain and make sense of stuff and be a co-historian.
Mm-hmm.
So, back to the toxic shame video. I'll try to correct the links.
If you did or said the wrong thing, then it would be your fault.
Now, after Holly corrected me, did I feel like Deef, that if I said or did the wrong thing, it would be Deef's fault? Did anyone see that I might be evoked? That I would think it's my fault for saying the wrong thing about Holly's memory because I didn't know her whole life story?
Confirmed.
Did Holly somehow evoke this feeling in me that Nahama's describing?
Yes.
Was that a coincidence, or how did the exact feeling that Nahama's describing get projected and evoked in me with projective identification, oceanic merging, where I feel what Nahama's describing?
I was just going to say that, oceanic merging.
Yeah. That's the lack of boundaries, but we can't just say,
Yes.
set boundaries. Oceanic merging, there's no boundaries. It's just, you don't know right, wrong, up, down, you just feel. Yeah.
You're disorientated.
Yeah. So you get fusion and confusion. So one person's fragmented, and the other person feels enmeshed, and often the enmeshment is confusion. So it's fusion plus confusion. And that's confusion plus merging, oceanic merging.
So wouldn't that invoke, what am I trying to say here? Wouldn't she be frustrated? Wouldn't that invoke frustration in her?
Nahama? Me?
You.
Yes, I was frustrated.
her.
Didn't I act out the
Yes.
frustration? Then I got
Yeah,
then I got
you did. That's
accused
why
for
I'm
not
stipulating
containing properly and overreacting and whatever else was
trying
thrown
to
at
find
me.
the words.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was
Your
frustrated.
frustration.
Yes. I
Yes,
was
I
not
can sense
totally calm, and I think John said I was screaming or something. So it was even more. John likes to kick someone when they're down. Because I don't know if that's a groomer behavior, but that's just
You
maybe
did raise
asshole
your
behavior.
voice, Steve. You did raise your voice.
Yes.
In defense of yourself.
Yes. Because I was frustrated. That's Robbie's question. Because it's exhausting trying to be perfect under accusations.
Yeah, well, I felt the same freaking way. Frustration.
Mhm.
With false allegations. So I
Yes.
can
Me too.
oceanic merge with it.
Yes.
Me too. That's why I
And
walked
when
away
you
from
felt
it.
frustrated,
Keep your
when
accusations.
someone said siren energy, that's just someone trying to murder your soul. Did you find that dismissive or witnessing, Robbie?
Say this again.
When someone said siren, that's just siren energy. That's just a woman that's just practicing murdering souls or eating soul energy. Did you find that?
I found that spot dead balls on. Dead balls on.
Oh, and then the advice to just ignore it. How did that work?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes, it did.
that's my misread then.
That's
Because
me.
when
having
I'm under
some say-so
when I'm
here.
under murderous attack, I have trouble not responding. I cannot just
I see
dismiss
that.
it. I act it out. I pour gasoline on it because I don't know. I'm reckless.
Ah.
Even though people say I'm dismissive and stuff, somehow that part doesn't get seen as dismissive. Because I think my humanity is important. I don't want to choose a path of being a groomed robot that just becomes an asshole and just kicks people when they're down and just learns how to say mean stuff and control other people through rage and frustration. If you guys want to go that path, sure, go for it. A lot of people do that.
More outrage.
Yeah, you can roll yourself in moral outrage, but now you've given up your soul, and then you just have an empty core inside.
Mm-hmm.
That's the price. And that's the price that society is teaching, so I'm not going to get in the way of that message. Because I can't fight. I haven't chosen the path of exorcism to try to exorcise people from this attacking their humanity tactic. That's just off limits for me. So I will embarrass myself. Act out my frustration. Take the attacks from the group, because apparently I'm doing this to break even or lose money, so I can just get neglect and abuse and other people's past stuff dumped onto me that I'll try to interpret for people. And once in a blue moon, someone appreciates it. The rest of the time, I take in people's depression and their punitive self-hate. Who would do this? 4 years of all these videos. You can look at all the hours and toil I've done just for the videos, let alone add the editing and all the other stuff that I'm doing to try to care for you guys' stories. And then, bam, you say, oh, Deef's a container that I can dump my shit on. Because I want moral outrage. I want to win. I want to be right. And I'm not possessed by a demon. There's no demon that's possessing me that just wants to destroy the teacher, destroy the helper. Because he uncovered some shame in me and pointed out some issues. Back to the video.
The actions of the other person. The other person's actions would become your fault if you did or said the wrong thing. So now you have to police your words, thoughts, and actions, which is exhausting.
It's exhausting.
Actions, which is exhausting.
Yes, this is exhausting. Trying to make a plea for how fucking exhausting it is means I have to over-emote, and then even after over-emoting, we'll get attacked with rage and hate, because that's a defense to avoid feeling grief. Avoid feeling the grief you're giving me and other people. Giving other people impossible demands.
Giving them grief.
And giving them grief. Giving other people impossible demands.
Giving them grief.
And giving them grief. Giving other people impossible demands.
Giving them grief.
And giving them grief.
Deef, as I recall that meme, that was at your prompting that I should give people grief. That I should give people grief.
No.
Yes,
That
that's
was
what I
not
remember.
the meme was from. The meme was from Ellie versus Laura.
That one?
I made the meme. I could be a little off, but should I trust your memory or my memory?
Well, I don't know. I don't know where you got it from. Maybe you have a date stamp on it. But okay, go ahead. I get the point of what you're saying.
Like, I speak from experience. It's fucking exhausting.
See the laughter? That laughter, I would say, is a little bit of shame and a bit of abuse amnesia, because we cannot vent how fucking exhausting it is, the perfectionist path, and how common it is for other survivors and most people in the neurotic society to play non-responsive bystander, to keep the family secret up, to not talk about how hard it is being human, how hard it is being a trauma survivor. We love abandoning other trauma survivors while acting like we're all, ooh, we care, while we're just feeding off their stories.
Yeah. It's exhausting. If I do it wrong, maybe he is justified. And there's a constant need for safety, especially post-assault. I spent like 2 years trying to make sense of it, going back and forth. Whose fault was it? Was it his fault? Was it my fault? What happened? It's exhausting.
Could it be reasonable that someone who has been abandoned, had childhood neglect, would be looping Like, what did I do wrong? How do I do better next time? So there's a lot of this frustration and confusion in their head. So they could contagion and flood someone else with that same sort of blast of confusion, destabilization. Could that be part of the paranoia and panic? So then you're flooding the other person with paranoia and panic. And then it's easy to poke them because the confusion bomb is naturally destabilizing. This is inner child to inner child trying to connect. But the story, the narrative, is making the person you want to get your story all bad. Bad God, bad Dabby. And who's going to willingly take that? Robbie didn't want to willingly take that. He wants to just dismiss and say, fuck you. That's his answer to that. Most people reject it, dismiss it. So another attempt at love, of intimacy, gets blocked. Except this time you can control the abandonment. That's a win to your defense. Bravo. You can be the asshole. And then you can cover yourself with more outrage, and then that's the rest of your fucking life. How empty. Who's fighting for your future? Not you. Where's the evidence you're fighting for your future? Where's the evidence you care about your soul? You care about yourself.
I went through so many different stories, none of them resembling each other, just trying to create a map where I could figure out what happened exactly so that I could feel safe and prevent that exact scenario. Never mind the fact that exact scenario will never happen again.
Never mind the fact it's never going to happen again. That I'm going to hold certain.
And other scenarios can happen. I was trying to just, what am I thinking? What happened? What did I say? What did I do? Now, what am I saying? Now, what am I doing? It's an exhausting process, sort of trying to make sense of your world again, when it's sort of what you thought was reality is shattered. What you thought was reality, shattered. What you thought, shattered, shattered, shattered.
This is also maybe what hurts more than the abandonment. You get abandoned, and then bam, your map of the world, the rug is pulled underneath from you, and you don't want to accept that change. So you have abuse amnesia, so you can go back to the old map. Or you're also in family secrets, so your family members and your caregivers actively gaslight you back that it didn't happen. So it's even easier to choose a path of abuse amnesia and close the door to seeing that the world's fucked up. Seeing your caregivers are fucking losers. These descriptions of Nahama are a new experience for some of the circles I am in. What does this for some of the circles I am in add on? So in other circles, it's not new?
No, I'm saying that this is an experience I'm having now, recently in life. I don't recall this kind of thing from childhood.
Well, she's describing an adult experience
Yes.
of her experience of being raped or getting sexually abused. She's not describing a childhood experience.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm just posting in there my experience. That's all.
But this
I'm not debating anything with you, Steve.
This is not something that resonates with from my childhood. Why do you need to add that?
Yeah, because I'm wondering if it's there and I just don't remember it. I'm not resonating with it from my childhood though.
Yes. Why do you need to close the door?
I'm not closing the door. I didn't close it.
Well, that's what it feels like to me, so maybe I'm misreading it. So that's why I'm trying to
Yeah,
talk
you're
about.
reading you're reading into it.
Yes, I'm reading into it, and then I still feel like the start of this video So maybe I'm not feeling this enough, Holly.
If you did or said the wrong thing,
Mm-hmm.
then it would be your fault, the actions of the other person.
So is it my fault I misread,
You-
Holly? Are you trying
No,
to
it's
evoke
not.
this feeling in me? No, you're saying I misread it.
No, I'm not.
I didn't get it.
No.
So, okay, what are you
slow
saying?
down. Slow down, Deef. I think you've jumped beyond where I am. Maybe you
That's
see
why I'm
things from my
fucking slowing
childhood.
down to you, Holly. I'm commenting because I'm fucking slowing down.
Okay.
Why
I don't
are you
know if you're
saying
still
not
working
slowing
on the other
down?
group.
My behavior is
stop?
slowing down.
Can you stop
Are you having
raising your
fun?
voice?
Poking at me and
I'm
saying
not
I'm not jumping around like Nahama's saying. You're making me jump. You don't really see this? You don't see how you're poking the same wound?
If you did or said the
Okay.
wrong thing,
Mm-hmm.
then
So, Dee, are
it
you
would be your
insisting-
fault.
You're
Are you
just saying it's
insisting
my
that-
fault.
Can we have a conversation here?
That's what I'm trying to do. But
All right,
you're
so
not
be-
allowing
be
it.
quiet.
I think you're not
Be
allowing
quiet
it.
for a minute. Be quiet for a minute so I can ask you something. Can I ask you something? Or maybe now's not a good time. I think you're too emotionally.
Is that another
No.
judgment that your parents gave you? Didn't we cover that
No.
earlier?
No, it's not. I just would like to have a calm conversation with you. I'm not trying to get you upset.
How are we going to have a calm conversation if we're trying to talk about your childhood stuff where you got abandoned and you're spinning and you had years of
All right,
neglect?
so can you listen to me
There's
for a
no
second?
reason to be angry.
Can you listen to me,
Right.
Deef?
Yes,
can you
there's
listen
no
to me,
reason
Deef?
to be angry. Why can't I be angry, Holly?
Can
You aren't
you-
allowed to
can
be
you just-
angry. Can I be angry about your abuse?
Yes, you can be angry. What I'm saying, what I'm trying to say to you is that I'm not connecting to my childhood anger. And maybe you don't care about that. I don't know. I'm not
Why
sure.
do you need to
But I
connect to
think-
it first? You wanted your parents to connect to it when you were a child.
I'm not even connected. You're telling me that I wanted that. Why are you telling me that? You're
Because
telling me
as
that
a
I wanted my
child,
family-
if you
You're
had this
assuming
abuse
that.
as a child at 5 years old or 2 years old, you could not connect the dots. Can you agree? This is my premise.
Of course, I couldn't connect to the dots, but you're
So who
telling me
would
that
you
I was
need to
angry.
connect the dots? Who did you want to connect to the dots
Yeah.
when you're 2 years
have-
old, 5
I
years
have
old?
no idea. I have no idea. There were 7 other
Anybody
people
who's
in my
older,
household.
right? You wanted anybody who's older to be co-historian to
I don't
connect
know
the
that
dots.
I don't know that I even wanted anybody to connect dots for me. I don't know. I'm not connecting to any of that. Okay, that's all I'm saying. So if you're working on me, I'm telling you I'm not with you right now. Okay, so but you can keep going. I'm just telling you that I'm not there with you. I'm not there with
The
you in
video
the Holly
clip.
was angry as a child. I am not there with you. Can you accept that?
Why? I am hearing that. Why do I have to like?
right.
Why do you feel like I'm not hearing that? Why do you think I'm not considering that?
Because I was saying that I don't connect to what she's talking about. I assume you put that up because you're saying that that relates to me. So I'm putting that in the chat. And then you're saying this has nothing, I don't know. I don't know.
Am
really
I
don't
not
know what the fuck's
slowing
going on.
down and talking to
I
you
thought you
now to
had
try
something-
to
I thought
figure
you
out
had
what you
something
know and what you
prepared for
don't know?
today. Let's get the focus off me and go ahead and give your presentation for the night. Okay? Don't work on me.
Are you going to
anymore, 'cause I
abandon
don't
me,
think we're
Holly,
on the
like
same-
your parents
I
abandoned
don't
you?
think I don't think we're on the
Are you
same
going to abandon me,
page,
Holly,
Steve.
like you got abandoned
Because-
multiple times by
because
your family?
I'm not abandoning
Are you going to neglect me just
I'm-
like your family
I'm asking
constantly
you-
neglected you?
I'm asking you to stop overwriting my history with your assumptions of things.
How
Play
am
my
I?
I'm
video.
asking you to wait
I'm
for
letting
me
you
to get there
talk.
with
How am
you.
I overwriting your story?
If you see stuff I can't see about myself, why are you going to keep moving on without me? You're the one abandoning me. You're moving on without me.
Where am I moving on? Make your argument.
You're saying that this all applies to me now, and I'm telling you I don't see how it
Okay,
applies
Holly.
to me. So you're abandoning me.
Can we do a survey with the group to see if other people have your conclusion?
People aren't in my head or it lived my life. So why would you ask them? This is between you and me, Deep. What do they have to do
How
with
is
it?
this between me and you, Holly? We have a group on Zoom. This is not one-on-one.
It's between you and me because I said to you, I don't connect with my childhood rage. So you said, what does it matter? So it matters to me that you're going on to a place where I'm not connecting
Didn't
with
I
where you are.
make
So you can keep going there
Holly,
if you want. You
you're
can
not
make your examples. You
you're
can tell your stories.
you're saying
Go ahead.
I made an argument that was part of saying you aren't connecting to your childhood rage. Are you dismissing that second part of my argument? Or did you forget it?
I'm sorry. Can you say that again?
You're saying
can
I'm
you say that
dismissing
again? I didn't follow
you're
you.
saying you don't remember your childhood rage. I heard that. I agree, right? And I gave a premise of why I'm jumping a little further. Do you remember that?
Oh, no, I think you said, what does it matter? I think you said, what does it matter if you don't connect? Or
If you don't
got
connect
angry
now.
with me. You got angry with me when I said that.
Yes, because I'm trying to connect to your
okay.
anger
Yes.
in advance of you, because you're not able to. And I'm not sure I'm going to succeed, so there will be some doubt, but I am trying to connect it in advance of you getting there. Yes.
Well, when Nahama's talking about this experience of not being allowed to, subtly being, put into this little box and having to walk on eggshells because something you say may be the wrong thing and that'll be your fault. I'm telling you, I don't have memories of that as a child. I experienced that as an adult. I experience that now. And I don't have connection to that experience as a child. So I'm not sure why that experience, if you're focusing on me, if the focus is right now on me, I'm telling you that this is not something I connect to in my childhood.
And
that's all. So you're going beyond me.
Why?
You're going beyond me.
Did I explain my theory why? Or you want
maybe
to just
you could
dismiss
remind me.
that?
You could.
Did I not say that as a 2-year-old or 5-year-old, if you have a long history of neglect, you're not going to have the mentalizing capacity to feel your anger, to make sense of stuff?
To be angry? To feel angry.
Because you have to make links of cause
and
effect.
I don't know. To feel angry makes sense.
Who did something wrong? Did I do something right? You have to mentalize this to get angry at people.
Pavlov's dog.
I don't think two-year-olds, well, maybe some do have the capacity for that.
But
maybe I was developmentally delayed.
So if you're developmentally delayed, you weren't able to have a voice. Or your voice was active, that anger voice during terrible twos had no space.
Maybe my voice was devoiced like at the age of 1 or the age of 6 months.
Yeah. So if your voice was devoiced at the age 1, you might have felt justified anger, or you should have felt justified anger, but you didn't feel it because you got devoiced at age 1.
How can you feel something and not feel it? Sorry, I didn't follow that.
Fragmentation. Soul murder.
What?
Toxic shame.
Pavlov's dog. It's like the first, I don't know, in psychology, right? So when they ring the doorbell and the dog still salivates even though it's not being fed. So if you were raised with your validating your parents' emotions instead of your parents validating yours, now
lose yourself in your parents' emotions.
Bad, when Dee says something like, hey, your parents should have, you're already programmed to defend your parents. And you're like, no, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. And you're
no, that's not, I'm not defending my parents. No way. I'm not defending my parents at all.
That's even a better defense.
When I say I'm not in touch with my anger, I'm not saying that I'm defending my parents. That's not what I'm saying at all. Not what I'm saying at all. I learned to skirt around shit. I learned to survive this stuff.
Skirt around shit.
My parents.
Would you say that's your defense?
My parents, were like ancillaries. My caregivers were my older sisters. My parents were, they were not parents to me. They were, there were people keeping the roof over my head, but I was probably getting most of my parenting from my older siblings. So when you guys say parents, in my world, I had 6 fucking parents, parental figures. So pick one. And they all were different. They all had different personalities and different styles and whatever the fuck they were dealing with, So, there's not this one person, when they talk about this, the parent, I'm like, there's not this one big being in my life. There were 7 of them, including my twin, who was the elder. So I don't know if that explains it, but anyway. Yeah,
That
I
doesn't-
imagine I was probably angry and I don't recall the anger. We could go there. We could
There you go.
mentalize that.
So if you don't recall the anger, or the anger was somehow blocked, skirted
Probably
around,
not allowed. Probably not allowed.
Yes.
Probably not
So-
allowed to have feelings.
So if
I wasn't
I'm
allowed to
being
have feelings.
angry, I would be breaking that rule.
Yeah, and same
No,
with all the other siblings.
No, if you're being angry, our conversation is having a problem and we're not like, I mean, you can have your emotion, but
I'm breaking the rule.
yeah.
If someone's
you're not allowed to
angry
have
with
the
me, I
emotion.
don't think the
I'm
conversation is
saying
a
you're
problem.
not allowed to have. All right, so I guess I'm saying you're not allowed to have the emotion. I mean, I would
Yes.
like you to have.
Your body memory is
Well, it's
saying that.
impeding. It's impeding my therapy here. If that's you're trying to do something therapeutic, it's impeding it.
It's
That's all.
impeding your superego.
Not going
I
to
would
help
agree.
me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Your interjected
I'm
parents
going to
of
have to
7
work
people
around your anger now.
and
Now I have
all
to
the
work
other
around your
superego
anger.
stuff you've digested.
Now-
It is impeding
Now I
that.
have to.
Yes.
Now I have to work around your anger and my anger at you not seeing me.
Well, that's even better. Now you're starting to feel anger. That's part of my goal.
Okay.
Your anger is slowly catching up. Wasn't that your complaint? That my anger was too far ahead? Now you're having angry at me, so maybe your anger will catch up.
Okay. Carry on.
Skirting is a great talent. So where do we go from here now? How's everybody
Choose
else
wisely.
following it? Is it confusing? Because I'm having to try to keep track of everything. It's hard on me. So.
We could ask Holly what to put on next.
So let's zoom out a little from that same meeting about just what shame feels like. And this will probably trigger something. Because this first part triggered Nahama and Julianne and some other people. So Ania Khan describing his shame triggered other people's shame. So be warned.
You felt used. Is there an element of shame attached to that?
Yeah.
Where in your body do you feel it? Like, how does it fall on you?
In my face. The shame,
Me
the
too.
anger, the fear, the embarrassment is all over my face.
You said you feel it in your face, right? The shame, but in your body, like, so for instance, I have a knee-jerk reaction to jump in and save or help. And usually when I have that reaction in my body, I feel fear in my stomach. And that fear motivates me to jump in and want to save the day. And, oh, this person needs help. I have to be that person to help, because the shame, if I don't, then goes from deep fear, and I can feel it over my shoulders. It's almost like this umbrella feeling.
Yeah.
Like the whole world has watched that small incident of me not holding the door for that person. And it feels like the whole world has seen that. You were starting to make a point there. The truth is, I could be doing this, but I'm nervous.
Right.
And afraid. And I'm feeling it in my stomach. Like, oh, don't you say one word, because you say that one word and they're going to think you're stupid. The whole world has seen that,
Yeah.
So I guess that's what we're digging into, So explain the canon.
So shame is a mechanism to spotlight. And then you feel like if you say anything wrong, or what you do is anything wrong, it's super dangerous. So shame is a great way to paralyze yourself and also paralyze someone else, because there is this extra force after the terror. So people might stay at the terror, get angry at the terror, then they don't see the underneath the terror, the shame. The gut punch, which might be the next one.
Ball situation. let's go back to the can seen that, you know?
Yeah.
So I guess that's what we're digging into, you know? So explain the cannonball situation. Let's go back to the cannonball situation.
Does she look comfortable being asked about the cannonball situation? John, do you want to define it instead? Just saying it's wrong is easy. That's not. It's easy to say, oh, that's not perfect enough. That's a little off. It's not my experience. It's not the.
Not my flavor. Yeah.
Not my flavor. Yeah, John, are you helping, or are you just trying to just make me feel shame? If you're trying to make me feel shame, you're actually helping the topic. So you should try harder to sabotage me.
Right.
Kind of
get on that.
The whole world has seen that. Yeah.
Man, I just feel like bowled over. Like this is just like, and now it's like sitting here and seeping into my blood and seeping into my pores. And it feels really distressing and uncomfortable and anxiety provoking. Not only is
anxiety provoking. So any little anxiety might feel like crippling shame, so then people have defenses against it, a little bit of anxiety. And if people have defenses against crippling shame that's anxiety inducing, they can flood somebody else with projective identification to try to trigger a bunch of crippling anxiety into somebody else by saying, gut punch isn't shame, and not offering anything. Being an asshole, because maybe that's all he knows. That's a safe way to get love, to control rejection. It's too scary to actually open up and like be rejected. So let me just control rejection.
they're imminent danger. I'm just sitting in the danger.
How's that feeling changed?
It's a bit more dull and heavy and seeping into my pores. And it feels really distressing and uncomfortable and anxiety provoking. Not only is there imminent danger, I'm just sitting in the danger.
Sitting in the danger. Which is scarier? Imminent danger that you can try to panic and be hypervigilant and do something? Or being in the danger without an out? Like being run over by a car with your leg, or being kidnapped and having 10 people jump on you in a foreign country. Punch me there, John. Be an asshole. Your childhood, whatever. How's that feeling changed?
It's a bit more dull and heavy, and it's expanded from my chest more to sort of a block in my arms, I'd say. But it's quite uncomfortable, and it's very much fucking there.
Is there any gravity? Do you feel heavier or lighter with this feeling?
Dense, so freaking dense. Not even like a feeling of weighed down. You know, sometimes I'll get a feeling in my shoulder of being weighed down. That's not what this feels like. It more just feels like a vice grip.
A vice.
Yeah.
This umbrella feeling, the whole world has seen that.
It feels like a vice grip, a vice grip, a vice grip.
So this vice grip is
she describing shame? Sorry, I'm lost.
No, she's just describing nonsense. Holly, are you genuinely don't get what she's describing? All of you?
Yeah, I wasn't hearing how you set this up. How did you set this up? I hear Anacon's having a conversation with her.
You don't connect
lost.
The umbrella story of Anaconn?
I wasn't paying full attention. Sorry.
If you're not paying full attention, Holly, then why are you...
Yes, Allie. Yes. Oh my God. Oh my God. These long lectures are hard for me. Okay, sorry. And I'm reading the chat. Okay, so I'm being a bad girl. I take accountability.
No, you're doing great.
Shame on
You're
me for
distracting from the message. The message is about shame, and you're successful at your defense is successful at changing the subject.
Oh, why are you trying to shame me? Why are you trying to shame me right now, Deef?
If you're really asking
Fuck
me,
you, Ellie.
I tried to answer your question by saying, did you see Ania Khan's portion? He's like, oh, I wasn't paying attention. Where's your genuine trying to ask me if I try to answer your question, you just dismiss?
How about if you just answer it, Deef? Can you answer the question?
No, why the fuck did I make a clip to try to illustrate something if I could just tell you? Ania Khan and Nahama were actually feeling this emotion very strongly and describing it.
Okay.
That's why I made the clip. I would have to try to own it myself and try to act it out, and that's not so easy.
Okay. I was wondering if they put a name to this feeling. That's all I'm saying. If they didn't, fine.
What do you mean, if they didn't find? Your first question versus your current question has changed. You don't notice how you're changing your question?
Well, because you're not giving me permission to ask you whether or not this is a feeling with a name on it. You're telling me I'm not allowed to ask that question.
Where did I say this?
You're the one devoicing me. I asked you a question. Are they describing shame?
Okay, Holly, where am I devoicing you?
You won't answer my question, and you're playing
let's
this
go
game
look
with
up
me
your
right
original
now.
question,
And Ellie's
Holly.
enjoying it. Are
Holly,
you guys enjoying this, the two of you?
Okay, let's just go to the video then. And get what your original question was, Holly. Because I'm forgetting it because you're jumping a bunch of stuff, so I'm imagining you don't remember the original question. Does anyone remember Holly's original question? Like, was it like, is Nahama talking about shame, or how did she phrase it?
I have no idea what I asked. Go ahead and play it. I don't remember.
You don't remember, so how can you make claims that... If you don't remember what's happening, then how can you claim that other people are doing wrong?
That's what I'm wanting to know. What is she describing? Because it sounds like an adrenaline dump to me. I don't know what,
It sounds like an adrenaline jump of being
adrenaline dump. Yes. Those are the feeling. When you asked me what I felt, that's what I feel. That's what she's describing is what I feel. So I wanted to know, what is she describing that she's feeling?
Well, if you have an adrenaline jump, that matches my experience of you, when you have shame.
D-U-M-P, not J-U-M-P, D-U-M-P. Dump.
Yes,
adrenaline
dump. Adrenaline dump. That's my experience of you when you feel shame or you get triggered. You get adrenaline. That is my experience of you.
Yes. Okay.
So if you're feeling an adrenaline dump from Nahama when she's talking about shame, that probably means...
No, I did not experience it. No, that's not what I'm saying.
Didn't you just say it feels like an adrenaline dump?
I was talking about
Holly, you're hard to talk to because I remember what you say, then whenever I try to reflect it back, you say, no, that's not what I said. You're wrong. How the heck can I talk to you, Holly, if every time I try to reflect and track you just say, that's wrong, Deef. You heard me wrong.
Forget it, Deef. Just
What do you mean forget it? I can't forget it. You're the one who's trying to pin me on this. And
I asked you, does she have a name for the feeling she's describing?
Where was it? Yeah.
Quite uncomfortable, and it's very much fucking there.
Is there any gravity? Do you feel heavier or lighter with this feeling?
Dense, so freaking dense. Not even like a feeling of weighed down. Sometimes I'll get a feeling in my shoulder of being weighed down. That's not what this feels like. It more just feels like a vice grip.
A vice.
Yeah.
This umbrella feeling, the whole world has seen that.
It feels like a vice grip, a vice grip, a vice grip.
Here it comes. So this vice grip is
she describing shame? Sorry.
Holly. Is she describing shame? And then sorry. Are you just asking?
Yeah, I was asking what emotion is she describing? And then I
No,
said sorry because
you
I
said sorry.
interrupted you.
The sorry.
I interrupted you, Deep. That's why I said I was sorry.
Okay. You think you're so innocent there. Let's replay it. Are you angry, Holly? You had adrenaline. You got a little angry. Are you allowed to be angry? How come I'm not allowed to be
I'm
angry?
tired of you micromanaging me, Deep, okay? You're
not
micromanaging
me, Holly.
I asked you a question.
Holly!
I apologize for interrupting
You're tired of
you,
micromanaging
and now-
me. Or me micromanaging you. Am I allowed to be tired of you micromanaging me?
Yes, that's why I said I'm sorry because I'm in your fucking way, aren't I? I'm in your way. Yes, that's a feeling from my childhood. I'm in your fucking way.
You're in my fucking way. Maybe we should write that down. And I'm still here, Holly. Also in your fucking way. And can we stay in this and talk this out so you have a reunion, so you have some sort of rupture repair instead of skirting things and whatever other
I
family
get frustrated
secrets.
I get frustrated when you throw these things up without context. So I'm asking for context. What feeling is she describing? And maybe she doesn't
What
know
do you
what
mean?
feeling she's describing.
I don't
She's
see
just
the lack of
describing what's in
context.
her body. I don't know.
I don't see the lack of context, and I
Of
think
course,
most of the
because
room
you-
doesn't
you're-
see the lack of
because
context.
this is all coming out of you. This
Okay,
is
Holly,
all
wait.
coming out of you. This
This
is all you.
coming out of me. This is out of a Zoom meeting. I think you probably were even there. How is this all coming out of me?
You're making a point here, and I stopped you to ask you what feeling she's having, and now we're in this conversation, which, you know,
This is
This
an
has
important
always been a
conversation. It
How
sounds
many
like
times-
you're
Okay, Steve,
taking
how
the
many
video of
Okay.
me that I'm sharing.
how many times, Steve? Okay, I have something to say to you. How many times did I interrupt you when I first came into this room? How many times did I interrupt you? I interrupted you a lot. Okay, until I learned that I was interrupting you, and in fact, you were trying to do a whole, 90-minute session. Okay, eventually, but everybody was interrupting you. So people interrupted you to stay with you, But that's not how it is anymore. So I'm obviously back to my old way of stopping you so I can keep up with you. And that's what you'd say to me. Keep up, Holly. So maybe I can't keep up. All right, so that's me. I can't keep up.
Holly, do you care if anybody else in the group is keeping up with me or you?
I'm sure there are other people who don't keep up too. Maybe
I know,
they
I'm
don't
just
speak
asking,
up.
do you care? I'm not saying your conclusion.
Sure, of course I care.
Okay.
Of course I care.
Do you want to ask the group to see how they're keeping up or not keeping them up, or what their opinions are?
They can speak for themselves. They can speak for themselves.
Do you
So
care?
Oh, Kelly, go.
I think he asked you.
I see stuff in the chat. If he's reading the chat, people have said I can't keep up. I think
Still
Steve
wasn't
said
a
I can't keep
question.
up too. It's there.
Yeah.
Okay, so why are you polling me for this? You're the one who wanted to poll the group. You poll the group.
Did
I'm
you
not
poll the
trying to
group?
merge with you. I'm not
You
trying to
don't
merge with
care to
anybody
poll
here.
the group, Holly?
Oh, I mean, if people, yeah, if you want, you're the one facilitating. You're the one who's guiding us through. So, if you care to know, you do it.
Yeah, but it
Of
seems
course
like
I
you
care.
don't care.
Why wouldn't I say it? I care. I do care.
Of course you're
Yes,
going to say
I do
you
care.
care, but you don't want to put any initiative.
Do you want me to poll them or do you want to poll them? You're asking me to poll them?
It's not about the polling, it's about the caring to poll. It's not about the answers, it's about the context. You were complaining about context earlier, so I'm slowing down on context.
Well, I thought your wanting to poll the group was for you to shame me. Okay, so here we are again. Well, let's poll the group because Holly's getting left behind and she doesn't like it. And the whole group, Chantel was shaking her head. No, she's keeping up with you. Chantel keeps up with you. Kelly keeps up with you. Ellie keeps up with you.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know, but I know I don't keep up with you.
It sounds
I can't
like
speak for anybody else.
Your
You can
internal
poll them.
clock is really fast, Holly. So part of the poll and part of trying to slow down was trying to slow down your internal clock in case there's...
My point in telling you how I was when I first came in was that I backed off for the sake of the group, because I didn't want to hold people back. Okay? That was my point in telling you that story. So that people can get something out of this. Because people don't have to wait for me or whatever, or drag whatever I'm trying to say. You don't have to wait for me.
Could this be absence, abuse amnesia strategy to make siblings abandonment feel less painful?
Did they not wait for you?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
That's abuse amnesia. That means your amnesia is good.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Got a lot of it.
So, could you be reliving parts of that past cover story because you got left?
Sure. And Ellie triggered that in me. Ellie triggers that in me. That's what she was doing in the Discord.
I'm sure, yeah. A lot of the group,
You know,
this group
Holly.
is your sort of virtual family.
Why don't you
so
understand what Deep is saying?
anybody in this
You're not
group might be
intelligent enough to
triggering
be
those
here,
same wounds.
Holly. Isn't that what you were saying, Ellie? Why are you here? Heard that come out of your mouth a lot. Why are you here? Fuck you.
There, fuck you. So now you can be angry at the siblings and the people that left you or challenged you. Didn't hold space for your terror. Steve
Carry on. I'm going for a walk.
thinks it's artificial. Oh, Maria. I don't know. If she's going for a walk, that means she might be flooded. Reaching a limit. Toxic shame is hard. It's triggering. Zoe popped in not too long ago. Is there any way to summarize what's happening?
Clusterfuck.
Toxic shame's hard to talk about because you won't get it right.
Holly's able to sort of
Robbie.
is able to bring those memories back pretty fast and stuff. That's a potential positive.
Yeah, I get to correct it with our own experiences, I suppose.
If it can be connected to, if it can get integrated, it's a positive. That it can come up and flood so fast, that can be positive. It'll probably intimidate and confuse a lot of people. That's the downside. So let's go with more on shame. I wasn't planning on doing this. But this is where we're going. So Lisa Chu, she's a bit robotic in this definition, but she captures some of the punitive aspects of toxic shame. And she's still in that space, so that makes this video really good.
What is shame? It's very elusive. Shame is everything I don't talk about. It's the things that I don't feel out of a fear of losing love.
Everything I don't talk about.
Shame is everything I don't talk about. It's the things that I don't feel out of a fear of losing love.
Couldn't that be a pretty good formula of shame? So if Deef is trying to talk about and feel the things that are shamed in exile, then my defenses against shame are going to actively try to skirt around and dodge and shift the shame into other stuff. Anger of the parents, confusion, blah, blah, blah. The repressed feelings, the thrown away feelings can come flooding up.
It is about this learned response of disowning parts of myself.
I think it's interesting to watch her eyes and body languages, because I would argue she's still disowning parts of herself as she's sort of over-therapized and getting the words right. But the inner child and the superego, I think that could be like her mother, sort of this punitive superego mother sort of there that crippled her. Tension.
In order to...
Yeah, you see this sort of side eye, so it's a very... the shame space can be very deceptive.
To feel safe and okay. And that's shame. Anything that's disowned and put down into a box that cannot be opened or shown to anyone out of fear is what I experience as shame. So another aspect of shame that I'm noticing is that it's a tool for keeping. So as long as you can keep people disowning parts of themselves, like actual honest experiences and feelings that they have.
So punitive superego shame is trying to get people to disown their authentic parts. So if you get flooded by that, you might try to trigger Deef to disown and reject some of these spontaneous parts. That would be acting out the shame. And shame is quite deceptive, so you'll be possessed by this shame, and you'll do it and you're thinking you're helping Deef, or you don't see the demon that possesses you. Maybe at the end we could talk about identification with the abuser, identification with the aggressor. This is another tricky part of the superego, or hijack superego.
You can keep them hiding and in submission to an outer authority. So if you notice, a lot of us have had childhood experiences where shame is used as a tool to gain control of another person's response to either.
Oh, this might be part of the paranoia. So if you over-control with shame, you over-control your inner children with shame, then your paranoid other people are going to over-control you, or over-control, or dive into your inner children. If you have an overactive superego, an overactive manager that's trying to control and exile, keep your inner children exiled through deception and lies, that means somebody else could talk to your inner children and say stuff that might stir them up. So you might be more paranoid because of that. That would be the price of taking your toxic shame that you got from your abuser and then using it to just crush your inner children voice, to keep yourself safe in your childhood story. But now as an adult and you're in the real world and you suspect anybody can invade your inner children, that might cause some excess paranoia.
Either say, you're not allowed to feel this, you're not allowed to say this, you're not allowed to do this.
Thief, you're now not allowed to feel anger. Thief, you're wrong here. Shaming. People are doing traffic generation, which I'm still not sure. Sometimes I see it, sometimes I'm not sure. Sometimes it just seems like that's just a label. And when they're throwing traffic generation, sometimes they're generating traffic when they're throwing traffic generation. So that's where you need a positive aim. Let's talk. Let's build a bridge instead of saying you're wrong. That's an easy critique. That's an easy stonewall. Is there room to have some sort of invitation? Sure, throw criticisms. Sure, attack each other, but somebody needs to do some positive aim. Someone needs to do rupture repair. Wouldn't that be the adult thing to do?
Because I say so. In my experience, it's elusive. It's like we don't even know it's there. To either say, you're not allowed to feel this, you're not allowed to say this, you're not allowed to do this, because I say so.
Internal abuser. Identification with that aggressor. This is true. Period. No dissent. Just obedience. 'Cause I say so. And if you can mirror the tone of your parent, you can get your inner children in line. And then you can mirror that tone to me in a God voice, and you can sort of destabilize me, because I'm also hardwired to sort of listen to parental confidence. I never was able to listen to my parents, so that's why I still couldn't talk back some, because I couldn't internalize my dad's stuff, and my mom didn't say, like, because I say so. So I can still talk back some, but it's still it's still flooding. I'm still human. So this, because I say so, is hard. Maybe I need to smoke marijuana or tequila. Maybe more tequila will solve it.
In my experience, it's elusive. It's like we don't even know it's there because it's everything we've denied. Disowning parts of myself, it's everything we've denied. Disowned, denied. Things that I don't feel, denied.
So toxic shame is disowning.
It's like we don't even know it's there because it's everything we've denied.
It's everything we've denied.
Disowning parts of myself, it's everything we've denied. Disowned, denied. Things that I don't feel, denied.
So do we play this language game of denial and splitting as a defense, and don't realize that the best denial weapon is shame, toxic shame? Shaming somebody else, shaming ourselves. So we're actively using shame to exile our inner children, to keep the fallen self up, and to also shame other people to deny their voice, because authentic voices are dangerous. Everything we denied. So what is the thing that's so scary to deny? I think this video was before my comment about schizoid adaptions or paranoia. Maybe that could have triggered Holly's question, which on the surface looks like it's innocent, but maybe it's trying to deflect from the message of this video.
Really shifted my thinking. It was called assumptions and presuppositions. And I got very, very good at hearing people's assumptions and presuppositions about when they were open their mouths. So I could hear it. So I would hear it. And that's all I needed to hear. I didn't need to hear their story.
So if I'm hearing a presupposition that you're saying something wrong, you're doing something wrong, you can't do that, you can't do that, that might be the message. Not the questions, not the outrage, not whatever. I'm just asking a question. Peter could have done that with me in the last session. What was the thing? I spilled my guts and said, oh, look, I've got this and this and this. And he says, well, what did you do? You didn't do any homework. And then he just said, oh, how are you a journalist? And he said, I'm just asking a question. He could have defended that. So you weaponize Clueless Baby. And then if the Clueless Baby happens to deflect from the message, that's a nice convenience. And then you can play dumb. So it's a win-win from a sabotage point of view. So if a superego, a toxic inner interject, bad object, whatever, is using loaded questions of presuppositions to trick the inner children, to trick your authentic voice, it'll also do the same things with other people. Right there. Like, the right questions catch you out. That sounds like that comes from a paranoid person. Must really suck to constantly be worried about other people. You know, somebody can be possessed by demons. Someone can suddenly jump you and do some damage to you. That's the way you want to continue living your life, the rest of your life. Who else is trying to help make sense of that? Catch dishonesty. That's easy. You just feel your feelings. Your intuition catches dishonesty. Or you can have your hypervigilant panic fear from some unprocessed shame terror. You're just going to be reading into any sort of thing as potential dangers. But that is a schizoid adaptation, so pretty common.
Red flag scoff. Red flag scoff. I have a guard up for sure. I have a guard up for sure. I have a guard up for sure. Red flag scoff. Red flag scoff. Red flag scoff.
You take this armor off, we die. We die. We die. You take this armor off, we die. We die.
But then that armor is like some big, heavy, crippling armor you have to carry around, and you're exhausted, and you can't move and enjoy stuff. Yeah, you'll catch dishonesty, and if you don't, you'll actually force people to be dishonest, so you're right. How about that life? Yeah. Self-fulfilling prophecy. John, you like being right? Yeah. You can ask right questions and make people fuck up. Prove people are human and they're not perfect. Yeah. Sounds like a lot of paranoia.
Hear their story. So I'd let them, run out of gas when they tell a story, and I go back and ask a question that addressed their assumption. They go, how'd you know to ask that? Yeah. And I would be like, oh shit, now they think I'm some mystical seer. And that felt really, really fucking uncomfortable. Like, how'd you do that? I'm like, dude, well, and I would go, look.
It looked like magic. If someone was good at it,
all you had to do is connect with and hear their assumptions about what they were saying and just get them to think about it differently, which they had never done. Yeah. So for you to go in with a direct question on their assumptions about what they were doing, they felt, oh, but that's what I recognized was being done to me after a while. And
Nancy and Lauren were good at that.
This is what I recognize. Like, this isn't rocket science. This is just figure out the assumptions and presupposition that are running this person's life.
That are running this person's life, but this is their life. So it's easy to instantly deny and reject someone trying to expose it challenge it, invite a different interpretation. And then the quickest way to deny is to shame. Toxic shame. Disown, deny. Effortless. You don't have to think about it. You just... Or your hijacked superego doesn't.
Right? Like, I need this thing. And be like, well, what if you didn't need that? They go, how'd you know to ask that? Well, you told me when you sat down in the first 30 seconds and then you talked. You know, everything was based on that assumption. That's all I had to catch. I didn't need to hear their story. You know, everything was based on that assumption. That's all.
And then if you're in support groups or mental health, you'll go, you didn't hear my story. Let me tell my story here and here. Let me finish. And just let me continue being lost in the story. What did this mean? What did that mean? So whenever you're feeling too much shame, just go into some detail of the story. You get an out from your feelings. So maybe that's an assumption. How do I get away from my feelings? Watching this thing triggered by internal whatever. How can I get away from my feelings? I'll throw this question at. I'll do whatever behavior.
I had to catch. I didn't need to hear their story.
So I was going to try to link this to Beyond's basic assumptions, but that video is kind of boring. But the first basic assumption is the basic assumption of dependency. So Beyond worked with groups, and he got a lot of group theory, and one of the group theories is that when people are in groups, they use a group to manage anxiety. So there's assumptions that happen in group to manage the group's anxiety. One way is through a scapegoat, way is through this basic assumption of dependency. So the authority, the parent, is the authority, and then the group is dependent on that. So now the group can project expectation on the expert. And then you can flip dependency and control. So you split the ownership of agency, dump it onto the group leader, or the saboteur of the group leader. So you get dependent on somebody else to fight your fights. Then there's like fight and flight, so that's partially these narcissistic groups. You can just blame the narcissist, scapegoat them, and then you're just always fighting against, getting better at fighting against them, and you abandon healing yourself. How can I be safer? Once I'm safe from them, then bam, my life will be better. I'll have relationships just because I figured out the danger, the red flag. I don't know any evidence of that working. A lot of people have that assumption. But basic assumption dependency. This is what it looks like when it fails.
There is the phenomenon of failed dependency, which is the essence of traumatic experience. Failed dependency, which the first consequence of failed dependency. And
so trauma, relationship trauma is as a child, you're dependent on caregivers and parents, and when that fails by abuse or neglect, you now have a failed dependency wound. You have a developmental trauma. So it still fits within the Beyond's model of basic assumption dependency. So failed dependency.
Traumatic experience is, in my opinion, the fear of annihilation, that we will be wiped out, that our lives and our psychic lives are in danger, and that our safety membranes have failed us. It begins with fission and fragmentation, and a number of psychotic anxieties associated with it. like feeling you're falling apart, disappearing, dissolving, your identity is going, and you're fragmented.
So fragmentation, falling apart.
Utter annihilation. Utter annihilation. Madness is the abyss. Madness is the abyss. Madness is the.
So, fragmentation, fission, and some other big words. Psychotic anxiety.
In my view, the first line of defense is fusion and confusion with whatever is left of the self, with whatever you can find around in total, a whole person or part of the person who is assumed to be sufficiently competent and full that could be an object of rescue, that you could be helped by. So fusion and confusion becomes a kind of psychotic clinging against fission and fragmentation.
Psychotic clinging could be oceanic union.
Oceanic union. There is no clear sense of where I am and where you are. Oceanic union. There is no clear sense of where I am and where you are.
So you got a split of fragmentation.
Utter annihilation. Utter annihilation.
Abandonment, terror, falling apart, fragmentation. And then the other side of the split is you want to find somebody to merge with.
Oceanic union. There is no clear sense of where I am and where you are. Oceanic union. Oceanic union. There is
psychotic clinging due to a dependency wound, failed dependency.
The great problem with this very primitive defense, you can get stuck in this process of falling apart, or fusing and confusing, and then going back into falling apart, because that's the first line of defense against losing your identity by suffocating and clinging. So you get this oscillation back and forth, back and forth. It sometimes doesn't stop. Fail to make relationships
Sometimes
because
it doesn't stop.
Who can relate to somebody who psychotically clings, or who back and forth, back and forth? It sometimes doesn't stop. Fail to make relationships because who can relate to somebody who psychotically clings, or who can relate to somebody who is so withdrawn? Back and forth, back and forth. It doesn't end very easily. And many people bring it to a close through what I call the process of encapsulation, creating a psychic membrane.
Encapsulation, compartmentalization, repetition compulsion, exiled inner children part. So a light form of DID. DID would you have like sub personalities to contain it, but encapsulation of different levels.
Around the phenomenon gets hived off, split off, put in a disassociated area of psychic life. It continues to go on like a beehive buzzing back and forth, like hornets, in the attic of your house.
And it might be a beehive that other people can see better than you. Why we need co-historians in a group, so then you'll develop defenses to block that feedback. Toxic shame, denial and disowning. Get walled off.
But at least we can get on with our lives. There's a hiving off so that one feels from then on you're never completely whole. Failed dependency and traumatic experience. Back and forth, you're never completely whole.
So the difficult link of trying to give a different angle on shame and anxiety and all the terror around social dangers was that the childhood wounds get recreated in then new groups. And then now you look for groups to help contain the anxiety, and you can use the different basic assumptions: dependency, fight, flight, pairing, incohesion, meanness, oneness. And those are assumptions that are already out there, so you don't have to write the script. You can just fall into that story as a new way to contain the anxiety, of the way to project and dump your content onto the group or into others in the group. Because social survival is dangerous. Oh, that was the... So there's a theory that I think that the developmental challenge is that a lot of codependents didn't go through the teenage socialization process. You developed a fallen self, parentified as a child, so then you just, or people pleaser, played it safe, likable. You just got through the teenage years, you didn't integrate the rebellion. So you didn't get the teenage rebellion integration. So you don't have enough of a fuck it type of attitude to navigate adults who already have the fuck it type attitude. They have the weapon and the shield. So you don't know how to navigate that with your own shield, so you have to overgame it. You have to overplan it. You have to prepare in advance, and then when you get triggered, you have to default to regressive defenses because you don't have a heads up. So how can I replace that? Or how can we figure out how to create stories to replace that? That might be why all these healthy shame and all these empathetic strategies are falling on their face. They don't stick, because the problem is you need a social radar to navigate adult to adult life that normally gets wired in teenage years. And since I also was like I didn't fully get the teenage socialization. So I also struggle with that section, so I'm interested in mapping out those deficiencies. So I can also try to share my maps with you guys as I try to figure out how to catch up with that teenage critical period of differences and rebelling and Dan Ebb. So that was the Zoom bomber. So he was sort of modeling that energy. So he will shame you guys, but remember he's a teenager or some kid. So. But this is how easy for that teenage inner rebellion to fight back against all the perfection, whatever nonsense.
Y'all in toxic relationships, but y'all don't want to leave them. Why the fuck are you guys in this shit? And maybe we all need to take a 3-5 of shrooms and realize that we don't need these whores in our life, and that we could just walk the fuck on freely and call it a fucking day.
See, he's able to project that it's easy. It's not all this self-shaming and jump through hoops and navigating emotional landmines. It's just, fuck the system. Fight for yourself. He didn't even need to be that angry. See? Because your teenage part, or your terrible 2 rebellion, if you were able to wire that, it just enjoys saying no, and it doesn't have to do all the extra stuff.
I mean, I get it's hard and shit, and that's, just one thing we're going to occur through it. But at the end of the day, We're gonna get through it.
day.
We're gonna boss up on these motherfuckers. Fuck these talking. You over here to talk about why we should leave it. These motherfuckers ain't finna change. I don't have boundaries either, but
Well,
if
you can
you've
say
been
fuck
putting up
you.
with the same shit for so long and there's no change, then you're just doing it to yourself. Why the fuck are you guys?
Right there, if you're putting up with the same stuff, repetition, compulsion, you sort of already intuitively know your superego is doing it.
On and there's no change, then you're just doing it to yourself.
You have to take the agency where your old patterns are repeating. Instead of being moral outrage when anybody sort of pokes at your old patterns. Oh, fuck, I didn't get as far as I wanted. Fuck you, trigger. I'm not healed yet. Attack the trigger. Don't say, oh, I got more work to do.
Why the fuck are you guys in this shit? Yourself. Why the fuck are you guys in this shit?
So part of that teenage year, I hear, is a lot of teenagers, the parents are suddenly like gross. They don't talk to the parents. They don't want the parents to drop them off. There's sort of this hormone that rejects caregivers. Maybe that hormone that rejects the parents is also a hormone that can reject superegos. That can reject too much external shame. And then now they're looking for peers. So they're looking for peer belonging. And then they try to build the muscle to navigate that. And if people who don't have traumatized childhoods are building that muscle of teenage bonding that goes into peer bonding as an adults, they have an advantage over us. If they're able to use the cutthroat battling of peer belonging, then if we're scared of getting bullied, we're scared of getting called out, we're scared of fucking up, that might be true. The people that had peer bonding from teenage to high school to college and frats and all that stuff, they've been building how to navigate all the walls and the dangers and how to get into the exclusive stuff, how to climb the popularity thing. They have a bigger muscle. They have a bigger muscle and they know how to coordinate. So, codependents who feel afraid of social taboos or whatever, that might be a genuine assessment. Your intuition is right. So then you're left to join support groups. But then support groups have a bunch of other broken people that are just enabling each other's defenses, or blind leading the blind. $9:30. Abuse amnesia. What else can we cover? Okay, anyway out. So the problem with a lot of these models like shame, do this is bad, this is good, blah, blah, blah. These are mental models. And then we try to impose that on ourselves or the future, and that gets hijacked by the superego. Your old patterns. So if you give the map of what you're going to do to your inner dominator, to your inner prison keeper, they're going to use it. It's like giving the keys to the bad guys. So then you get frustrated. So If you do that, then you have the issue that
anything explicit will be gained. Anything explicit will be gained.
it'll be gained by the superego. It'll be gained by your internal identification with the abuser. So instead of setting the gigantic goals, you have to sort of look at these small interactions and relationships. That's what ISTDP does, and that's what I was trying to interact with Holly with. And it's exhausting. Because those defenses will still have, you'll still have toxic shame, and you'll have denial, and you'll have all the different stroking defenses. But the way out that I can offer is how to navigate chaos. Because Chinese people like anarchy. I can give the gift of trying to navigate complexity and give you an immersive exposure of that. So part of that is small interactions.
It's about small things. It's about micro nudges. It's about micro interactions. It's about small things in different contexts.
So it's about small
things. It's about small things. It's about micro nudges.
It's micro nudges. And then at the same time, there's counters, so Holly can do a micro nudge back. So the battles are in the small micro nudges, not in the big thing. So I'll throw a context out there so the group has something to focus on, but it's not really, it doesn't matter about digesting the context or keeping up. It's about the micro nudges and the little conflicts and the little details that are happening, trying to create new patterns there.
It's about micro interactions. It's about small things in different contexts. And it's not about grand visions or grand narratives or transcendent visions or rapture or anything like that. It's about changing the way that people interact with themselves. And it's not about...
So it's micro nudges to try to change the way people treat themselves inside. So if I can get you to hate me and use me as a transference object, maybe you'll be a little less mean to your inner children. If I can say ow for your inner children, maybe that's a small micro nudge. That eventually you'll see how fucking mean you are to your inner children. And then eventually at some point the inner children will, their voice will finally break through, and then a shift.
About the individual, and it's not about visions, and it's not about things which we will all understand with the benefit of hindsight, but we can't design them up front. Oh, and by the way, get rid of pretension and platitudes. I get really pissed off with people spouting platitudes in chat lines and elsewhere to look good, because it makes absolutely bugger all difference. It's not a real contribution.
Bugger all difference. So Dave Snowden is really precise on certain things, but he's also a bit... it's all flat. I mean, he's not really... but he does have some punch. Somehow he's able to point out that share things with punch. So this is what's... anomalies is how we learn. So if I give you a model, or the problem with mental models is they simplify the world too much. So then now you are looking for what you're expecting. So then you don't look at stuff that doesn't match your projection. And then also your superego can take in stuff that fits your mental model. So now you have a filter of digesting somebody else's mental model, and then you tweak it into your own Ponkagism. So you're self-fulfilling whatever I say to fit some self-confirmation. So mental models are seen as a shortcut, because you can take from a model and you don't have to do all the lived experience. But then mental models reinforce blind spots, because you're filtering what you take in. And then when you take in the mental model, you're expecting, you're going to have some model of their expectation, and if if something doesn't match it, your brain just doesn't even see it. So the way the brain learns is through complexity theory, this sort of nuance.
So in complexity theory, the principle is very different. It says you start journeys with a general sense of direction rather than trying to achieve goals. Within that then allows you to actually be open to novelty on the pathway. If you have a specific goal, you're not open to novelty. If you're on a journey and you see a better path, you can then choose to follow it, if you want to take that metaphor. Yeah.
So the meeting has a certain theme. I'm going towards that, a loose theme, and then whatever the door opens, we'll go here, we'll go here, we'll go here. And I just build this muscle of recklessly opening doors, which is building the muscle of dealing with chaos and complexity. So then theoretically, when you're dealing with social situations, you can't predict what's going to happen, but you're building this muscle of seeing novelty and seeing ways out and seeing potential treasures and acting on it. Instead of having a script and then you fail on the script and you feel like you're shamed and you're stuck and then you just want to hide because what you learned failed or the person did something different. So a lot of these self-help teachings that soothe your shame just set boundaries, cut off, and whatever these rules are. They set you up to fall on your face because you're not practicing dealing with surprise, which is other fucking adults. Unless you're going to give everybody a script at the next adult party and say, these are the things you can talk about and these are the things you can't. And they'll follow that. People are chaotic, complex. So
that actually means in complexity, it's far more important to describe the present accurately. To describe the present accurately.
Which means remembering what somebody says and remembering what you say and trying to reflect that. And if somebody has a fragmentation defense to just say, you got it wrong and jump, their defense is actively blocking present moment reality. That probably worked as a child, so I can try to have compassion for that, but it's not going to help them with future complexity. So when I'm trying to track what's happening in the videos, this is trying to get the muscle of present moment. What's happening now? Where's the danger? Where's the safety? Let's get oriented. Then that lowers anxiety and gives you choices.
Accurately. To describe the present accurately. The other thing which links in with this is the whole concept of mental models is an absurdity. It was a cute idea in the 1970s. A phrase I'm using a lot at the moment is the tyranny of the explicit. You know, this desire to make everything explicit, to make everything visible, to codify everything is very dangerous because anything explicit can be gained. Anything explicit can be gained.
And it'll be gained by your hijacked superego. So this clinging of like, I need to understand everything A, B, C, and D before I jump in. That's this mental model assumption. How's that working for you? Oh, yes, it's kept me safe because I'm isolated. Well, how's that isolation in your life? How's that not having skills of expanding into the real world? There's a price for this constantly afraid defense. This constantly wrong defense. This constantly everyone's a danger defense.
And it reduces what you actually scan. So mental models are how computers make decisions, is not how human beings make decisions. Andy Clark satirizes this as the intelligent camera belief. The belief that the human brain is just an intelligent camera. We receive signals, we process it, and then we make a decision. That's not actually how we make decisions.
So this is an interesting theory he's pulling from somebody else. It feels like it's pretty accurate. So it matches a lot of codependence experience. That's how this theory is even better. This is how humans make decisions. Not like some camera and then you just collect it and then project it into the future.
We make decisions. What we do is we do multiple micro hallucinations.
Multiple micro hallucinations. Could that be like flashbacks in psychosis? So we do multiple hallucinations, micro hallucinations.
And those come from actual experience, from previous experience, from our own imagination.
From past experiences. So you're having an emotional flashback. It's a micro hallucination. You're trying to make a decision. If you judge the flashback as all bad or you just try to stop it, you might be interrupting the decision process.
And then we test those against reality.
This part, you have to test it in reality. So that's where I'm pitching.
Try something else. See what happens.
Just try it. Try new things. Try something else. Just try it. Try.
So you have a flashback and then you try something different than the flashback. Or you can have a flashback and you say never again and block any connection. You've been trying that a long time. Are you tired of being isolated? Are you willing to try something else? Are you willing to build this muscle of rupture repair? Or do you want to just be right and alone? So micro hallucinations from past experience, other experience, imagination.
And if no anomalies are detected, then we just go with the flow. We actually only think about something if an anomaly happens.
Now this subtle part is how blind spots work. This is really hard to illustrate. But you generally just ignore shit, and only when something novel or cool happens, then you pay attention. That's an anomaly. That's just, the brain is lazy. So if you go to support group meetings and they say this and you sort of learned it and you match it with something you've learned, you don't really, it's not anomalous enough. It's not new enough. It's not direct experience enough. You just absorb it and get a few more words, but you aren't learning. You need an anomaly.
If an anomaly happens. Right? So if you think about it, you're walking down the street. You don't think about walking until you stumble, and then you think about walking. Right? So actually creating anomalies and conflict is critical for human sense making. Anomalies and conflict is critical for human sense making.
So this is what I was trying to do with Holly, but then doing anomalies and conflict, she floods me with her defenses and skirting stuff, but this is how complexity theory works. This is how we decide and make new decisions, is we need to have anomalies and conflict around past flashbacks. These little micro changes will add up to big changes in the future.
We delegate a huge amount of decision to the actual social structures and narratives within our environment.
We default to the group. We default to the basic assumptions of how groups contain anxiety, dependency, meanness, fight, flight, oneness, all these different strategies that's already embedded in the system, scapegoating, fundamentalism, to contain anxiety, because our brains are efficient. So we'll merge with the groupthink of support groups and say, no contact boundaries, narcissist is the problem, externalize the problem, anxiety is contained. I don't need to feel like I'm so horrible because I'm around a bunch of other people that aren't growing much. And then we'll pretend like we're growing by learning more about the bad guys and hating them more. And then poking the teacher is like, the teacher's not good enough, then poking ourselves that we didn't digest the teaching well enough. But no anomalies. No anomalies in conflict.
Decision to the actual social structures and narratives within our environment. 95% of the time, we're not thinking about things consciously, we're just going with the flow. And we only change that if we're actually triggered by anomalies. So talking about mental models or talking about mindset is to cognitively frame what is only partially a cognitive process. And remember, the essence of complexity is you don't decide what you want, you actually work out what you can change, you then change it and see what happens and reinforce the good stuff and disrupt the bad stuff. Anomalies and conflict is critical for human sense making, and reinforce the good stuff and disrupt the bad stuff.
So when you get little mini successes, reinforce it. And the bad stuff, you just try to disrupt. You don't try to control the bad stuff. You just try to interrupt the pattern so you can learn. A lot of the mental health focuses on controlling the bad stuff. I get all these bad repairs, all these bad traits done, and then magically I have secure attachment. Who's proven that? Narcissists don't rupture repair. It's never a true repair. Or said another way, non-narcissists can't rupture repair. How is that said another way? Narcissists don't rupture repair. Why is non-narcissists can't rupture repair?
They can't rupture repair with each other. They just can't rupture repair with each other.
So who can
because
rupture
they're
repair?
operating in two
Who's
different-
left to rupture repair if narcissists can't and narcissists can't?
Non-narcissists. Well, maybe people who are non-narcissists can rupture repair with each other. And maybe the same goes for people with NPD because they operate in the same systems.
What is your definition of rupture repair? What's the goal of your rupture repair?
Unity.
Oneness? Oceanic merging? What do you mean
Peace.
unity? Unity?
No. Well, unity of.
I have a very low goal of rupture repair. Apparently you have a very grand goal.
Okay. Well, give us your definition.
What can I learn? If I can learn a little, that's a rupture repair. And I want to have, if I can get some progress with little, then that's my goal. I don't. Unity, oneness, perfection, blah blah blah. I've given up on that. I'm fucking human, and
Yeah,
I
that's
act out.
That's
and,
fantasy.
And
That's
other
fantasy.
people do it. I'm accepting the humanity of me and other people. I just want to try to learn from each rupture. If I can do that, that's a repair.
Yeah.
I can learn. They don't have to learn. That's still a repair. They can learn. I don't learn. That's still a
Connection.
repair.
It's defined as connection, to feel connected again.
Yeah.
Refers to
learning,
the breaking and restoring of connection with one another.
learning,
Because humans are wired for connection.
learning to reconnect. That's the positive shame. So I'm going to take the fuck ups from that rupture and try to be open to be curious on what I can learn, what that they can learn, and what we can learn. That's good enough for me. Now, I will still be ambitious and try to get more, but I'm happy with a small win. And I'm happy with a neutral. As long as it's not a giant stumbling dive into the pit of despair and forever, then it's a win. Because every experience is an experience. Every conflict is building the muscle of frustration. Whatever is learning. They can learn, I don't learn. That's a repair. Yeah. Every exposure is a learning experience. And I can't control the other person's learning. So if they happen to learn through another repeat, that's connection. That's learning. That's an anomaly. That's reinforcing a positive and disrupting a negative.
Well, what makes the connection? What restores the connection?
Another engagement? I don't know. What? They're not dead? What's the question? What restores the connection? How is the connection broken? Or in what scenario?
I suppose things like being invisibilized or...
Well, if you're invisibilized by one person and they're a narcissist, or they're a parent and they're hopeless, you can get seen by somebody else. I would say that's a rupture repair. Why do you have to limit it to some crazy person?
But that's not a rupture repair between the two people.
Yeah,
That's
I don't
not a
care.
rupture repair between... Rupture repair to me means between the two people who ruptured apart.
Yeah, that would include it. I wouldn't limit it personally.
I mean, I could repair myself, my own wounds. But I'm talking, when I think of rupture repair, I'm thinking of the relationship, not of the person.
You're thinking of the relationship. I would argue,
Yes,
I'm thinking the relationship is downstream. It seems like you're putting the relationship more upstream. If there's learning...
Rupture and repair refers to the breaking and restoring of connection with one another. So I can restore myself, but the other person is not restored. The other person isn't restored.
You can't control
unless
the
they
other
go
person.
seek connection with someone else. So they go seek connection with someone, and as long as they find connection,
You can try to persuade the
they're
other
rupture
person,
repaired.
but you can't control the other person's learning.
Yeah, you can't make them come back.
You can try to persuade
So to
them, but you
speak.
can't make them. Yeah. So you have more control over your learning.
Rupture repair to me means a restoration of the connection between the two people.
Well,
Not
restoration
me
is
and-
a jump from repair. That would be like, I can repair a fucked up car, or I can restore it to new. That's a much bigger jump, repair to restoration.
So we don't have the same definition then. Okay, that's confirmed.
Well, no, repair and restoration are two fucking words, two different words.
I'm taking a definition off the internet. I agree with it.
Yes, and that's not the point.
You asked me for a definition of rupture repair so we could...
Yeah, but that's not the point of the video. You're rewriting the video, the message. The message is about tiny micro changes, not about mental models. And bam, you're
Of a
making,
person.
and now you're making
Well,
mental
no.
models.
I was talking about a statement you made. That's all. I wasn't talking about the video.
What do you mean that's all? I'm trying to make sense of it. So whether or not you're repairing the rupture with me, I'm trying to make sense of it within a larger context.
I posted in the chat, what I said, because of a statement you said about rupture repair. I don't
Yeah,
remember
but
what
right
you
now
said
you're
about it.
taking up mental space in my head.
Okay, we can stop.
And when you say, that's it, you're taking up space in my head. You're invading my head and saying, this conclusion is final because you have a God voice that triggers some parental figure hearing in my head where I have to consider what you're saying.
Shut up, Callie. I'm not stabbing him. There's nothing intentional going on here.
It might not be intentional. Yeah, I agree.
It's not.
But it's still something I need to learn from. So my side of the rupture repair is I'm trying to learn from the interaction with you to try to make sense of it for me.
Okay.
So, and then I'm reflecting how I experience it. So then I'm giving you the benefit of somebody else's feedback of how your answers come across. So you can consider including that in the future, but that's up to you. I'm not forcing you to do that, but I can try to persuade you.
You're talking about Kelly's comments? Who are you talking about?
Who am I talking about? Trying to persuade you of showing my feedback of how I think?
Oh, no, never mind. I got you.
See, part of your wound is invisibilization. I think that can be one summary of the earlier back and forth. You were devoiced and you were invisibilized. You didn't get reflectors. So, part of maybe a future interaction with you and other people, learning from the earlier interaction, is that I might assume that you and other people can mentalize more than you can.
Okay.
So I'm trying to slow down and share how I'm feeling and trying to say it to you calmly so you can consider it.
Okay.
And it seems like
Are you
even
trying to
then
get
when
something across to me? What
I'm
is it you're
trying to get you to
because I'm
care about
totally
me.
lost.
I'm trying to get you to not invisibilize me. To not instrumentalize me. That's what I'm trying to do. And if I don't do that, then I'm trying to share.
Are you instrumentalizing me?
I'm
Are
trying
you
to share
instrumentalizing
how
me
I
right
feel
now?
instrumentalized.
I think you're instrumentalizing me right now. I feel instrumentalized right now.
Yes. This is how you communicate, I think. It's either one or the other. So if you let anybody else have a voice, you feel instrumentalized.
I'm not even sure what you're talking about. I'm not even sure what you're talking about now anymore. I'm just completely lost. So I'm sorry. I know you're trying to get something across to me.
I'm just trying to share my feelings to you, and this is what you do. You leave. Maybe you'll see it on the rewatch, but this is what you do. You leave. And that's partially why people are upset with you. That's a big reason.
Because you're
It's
flooding
not that
me
you're
right
hiding.
now. I'm not keeping up with you.
I'm flooding you because you didn't catch the neutral version, and then you keep dismissing it and you keep dismissing it. So then I
You asked me.
feel like I have to
for a
escalate.
definition. You asked me for a definition. I found one. I think we discovered that your definition was not my definition. I don't think you're happy with that.
That's not why I'm not happy. That's how we started the conversation. Then I'm trying to link it to rupture repair, not the definition. Trying to link it to how to learn from rupture repair.
So now you're trying to repair the rupture between us.
I'm trying to learn from this rupture. And I'm trying to show you what I learned. And I'm trying to invite you to learn together. It's not about the definition. It's about these micro practices of trying out to rupture repair in real time. And being patient with you. If you never got to rupture repair as a child, you might not have any muscle. You might not have any capacity. You might think that rupture repair, learning something different about each other, feels dangerous. That's
So when you say being patient with me, I mean, is that a two-way street too?
Is it a two-way street? Who's being patient
Am
on
I
each
being
side?
patient? Am I? Yeah. Don't both people have to show patience?
No. I will try to control my patience.
You're not calling me.
I can't
You're not
control
calling
your
me to
patience.
patience. I think you're calling me to patience.
I can invite you to
Right now?
patience. Yeah.
I think your behavior is calling me to patience.
I'm trying to adapt my behavior so that you're more willing and patient. Yes, I am doing micro changes to try to encourage you to be patient and entertain. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You can define this, but this is something I think people learn at a young age. So sometimes we might assume people have this skill. So if people are a little slow or lacking, then that's the time to slow down and try to repair the differences or try to learn from the differences. That's all it is. It's not very... rupture repairs happen multiple times a day. Rupture repairs happen probably constantly. Your brain is seeing a little anomaly and difference and it's making a correction. The superego will build it up. Rupture repair is some magic thing where the narcissist says I'm sorry, or the other person says I'm sorry, and sees all the flaws and they respond to your moral outrage. That rarely happens. Or if it happens by that time, you've already forgotten it. So yes, the person will go into 12 steps after addiction and this and that, and they'll do that step where they have to make amends, and they'll apologize 10 years later or something. So it's trying to provide.
It's in need of an experience, not an explanation. It's in need of an experience, not an explanation. It's in need of an experience, not an explanation.
These little tiny micro experiences around your flashback, around people's triggers, anomalies around the conflict. So then you can be aware. You can see your blind spots, you can see your triggers, you can see the other person's triggers. And then you can learn from that, you can grow from that. So then you're using attachment, secure attachment, to get more secure in the social world, to get more secure in the adult world. You don't have to do it all yourself. You don't have to keep hating yourself and taking all these fucking courses here. And you just have friends, co-historians, buddies, a tribe. What are we at? Oh, we're at 10 o'clock. Ooh. Eventually with rupture repairs, then you can get some belonging. And then I guess that'll be the formal, whatever this meeting was.
Almost all traumatized people I see have early histories of abuse and neglect and terrible early things, and a lack in the attachment pattern. You know, when you're a little kid and you're unwanted, you always feel unwanted. That feeling of being unwanted stays with you for the rest of your life, basically. The place where I see that dissolve, be mitigated, is in the theater work that we do. And when people join theater, you play different roles, and you get to see how what you do causes you to be part of the team. And so you need to have experiences where you are required to be there and to perform actions that earn you a place in the group. I think music, dancing, theater are ways in which you get a visceral sense of when I play the flute, and if I don't play the flute at this right moment in the orchestra falls apart. They need me. Being an active member of...
So you're turning the shame of like, everyone sees me and I'm gonna fuck up, into something that's, I did it. I showed up. If you have your toxic shame and you just keep hiding and running, you never convert your shame into pride. You never convert your toxic shame into self-esteem. You never convert your toxic shame into belonging. You're not part of anything. All you remember is that when you did something, it caused danger. So now you never want to expose yourself. You never want to step out to be important.
If I don't play the flute at this right moment in the orchestra falls apart. They need me. Being an active member of a critically important group of people where you are necessary in order for it to function can instill some of that sense of being a worthwhile member of the group. And you get to see how what you do causes you to be part of the team. They need me. They need me. They need me.
So toxic shame leads to feeling not good enough and not belonging. So positive shame would be to have group activities, social activities where you're in public performing something where other people need you. Where you can say, I did it. It was pretty good. But it has the downside of preparing a bunch of stuff that you can't even use today and then being distracted by a Discord war yesterday. And then sleeping and trying to fit in the Enneagram in-person meeting and then rushing here with 15 minutes to set this up. And then all the prepared stuff goes out the window because Holly's flooding all this other stuff, so we'll take the hot experience instead of the prepared stuff. So the price of getting something that they need me is filled with all the pre-time of panicking. So that's the other side of the positive they need me. The shame and the pre-shame and the embarrassment and the humiliation of messing up here, 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 and here. So I made a 3-second thing from a neocon in Nahama. This is sort of shame.
I have to be that person.
Vice grip.
I have to be that person.
Vice grip.
I have to be that person.
Vice grip.
This actually was useful for me.
I have to be that person.
Vice grip.
I have to be that person.
Vice grip.
I have to be that person.
Vice grip.
Because listening to these two terms, vice grip and I have to be that person, gave me a little bit of extra space of seeing other people's projective identification on me. Their insults on me. I have to be that person to correct them. I have to be I'm taking a bait. I'm being insulted. I have to be that person because it is like a vice grip. That is sort of this shame.
I have to be that person.
Vice grip.
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 That's all, folks.
Because we could have talked about all the details of shame and broke down the stuff that's out there, but the visceral experience of the crippling nature and the frustrating nature and the muscle of healthy shame, realistically showing how complicated it is to mentalize to counter shame, instead of saying empathy and just using validating people's nonsense, which is just a sugary shame. So you're still covering over the person's wounds through positive validation and empty cheerleading. That's just shame and just calling it empathy. Or just allowing people with no judgment. So you're just flipping the other side and you think somehow that's counterbalancing shame. Mentalizing these tiny rupture repairs. Working to do something publicly where you can land it, where you can do something worthy for other people, where you can accomplish it and you get some belonging. That's the counterbalance of taking shame, learning experiences, shame turning into learning experiences, and then performing. Connecting. Taking the risk into new relationships. Inviting people into new dynamics. But that opens the door to rejection. That opens the door to other people's shame. That opens the door to sabotage. Because intimacy is terrifying. It's scary. It's new. It's foreign. It's difficult. Okay, 10:15. Did anyone monitor the live stream? Are there any questions? Are they shocked? 8 live viewers. Not that many people. So, how people doing? What's up? Nothing in the live chat. I feel so neglected. Okay, shut down the live chat. William is here. What did we want to ask William? Oh, we were talking about Sam Vaknin. Mouse theorized that Sam Vaknin, since he's a psychopath, doesn't have flashbacks. Do you agree with that,
have
William?
flashbacks because he's a psychopath.
Yes, that was her sort of her solid, confident statement.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the case.
What's your counter argument? Or do you have any evidence where he's had flashbacks?
I mean, he's pretty sensitive.
Aha! Yeah,
there's calls evidence. Even though he calls himself a narcissist and a psychopath, his primary diagnosis is a borderline.
Ah, yeah.
I think you can watch his movie, I, Psychopath. Is that what his film is called? William?
Did
I,
he
Psychopath.
get triggered in that video, I think?
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
He had meltdowns for sure.
He had some meltdowns, yeah. A little bit of probably flashbacks, potentially.
Potentially. Okay. So there's evidence that he's highly sensitive, and there's evidence on video where he gets triggered and reacts from that. So can we reverse engineer that? That means he has some flashbacks. He's not immune to flashbacks.
Well, you're asking me to mentalize him. I haven't interacted with him all that much,
but
face to face.
You've seen all his transcripts and stuff, so you have a lot of exposure.
Yep. Through his videos, for sure.
Wasn't he triggered after the Richard Grannon battle and he was overreacting?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was pretty upset about that. Yeah, if you remember his videos, he seemed pretty upset. But I would say that the psychopath